You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo! It has been a week. And I always say that. But this is one of those, it has been a week, like emphasis on the A, italicized the week, explanation point, both the whole sentence. Yes, it has been quite the week. So much really great news, so many interesting things have occurred, and I've just been really waiting to dive into it, especially given that, today is Juneteenth. And you all are listening to this episode on, what people will consider Emancipation Day on the East Coast. I have experienced Juneteenth in a very different way than my Southern Texas upbringing. As a Houstonian who lives near Galveston, it's a very different experience. But, we'll dive a little bit more into how you all have just been rowing in this event, this historical moment in time with your bad, wrong use of the colors and your tacky concepts. But, to those who respect the holiday, happy Juneteenth. And, we'll see what happens next year. But as far as this year goes, I'm out here in these streets. Monday is busy. In a very good, productive way. I try not to use the word busy as much. Everybody's like, you're busy. I'm like, productive. Because I feel like busy, you get busy when you procrastinate. And I don't really procrastinate. So people are like, are you busy? I feel like saying busy is like when you are overwhelmed and stuffed with a bunch of stuff that you should have did and you didn't do. So that's how you get busy. For me, productive is, look, things are coming up. I have things to do. And I'm just hitting my marks and doing my thing. And it's manageable. So I would say that busy means procrastination, confronting the procrastination that you have. And productivity is managing the task that you have at hand, which is basically living. So I like to say productive where I'm at. Now, if I am busy, it's because it is what it is. But it's very rare. But I like the word productive. Because when I say busy, people assume that I don't have time. And they want to count my schedule. And I'm like, you can't count my schedule. Don't make assumptions about what I'm doing. Now, if you hit me at a time where like 10 to 1 on a Thursday, I got something going on. I got to host my show, City Council Live. But any other time, it's my time. I get to decide. So, roll the dice, figure out, find out. But a lot of times people will just assume my schedule for me, and that's the worst thing you can do. Next to underestimating me or trying me. That's probably going to be number one, number two. But other than that, it has been fun. So Juneteenth, Monday, for those people who are listening to the show religiously on time, not being busy. I have a lot. I have to get my, Tuesday I'm kicking off the second leg of my national book tour. My national summer book tour kicks off in Baltimore on Tuesday. So I'll be at Greedy Reads in Remington with the Jonetta Elzie. We're going to be talking about my book. We're going to be showing Baltimore love. I'm actually staying there overnight. So I'll be staying there I'll be in Baltimore all day Tuesday. And then I'm dipping out like early Wednesday morning. But the first kickoff to the book tour is going to be in Baltimore. I really initially was going to do Baltimore with the first leg of the tour, which was in February, starting in February, and we were going to be there from February to, and probably I think it would have been in March, but the dates and locations and things couldn't coordinate. So I was like, I need to do Baltimore this time around. So we're here, and it's lovely. Greedy Reads have been showing lots of love. They have 2 locations in Baltimore, but we're going to the Remington location, which is very popular. There's a lot of people I know in Baltimore and people I've had relationships with for a while. So I'm excited to be able to, kind of just dwell in Baltimore and be more. I'll be back later this summer with the Lip Brothers, and I'll talk more about what that trip's about later. But it looks like it's going to be a Baltimore summer, given that I'll be there for the book, and then I'll be there in August, and I'm gonna have a real like I think that trip will be like a 2 day, 3 day situation. So, I went from like never going to Baltimore to now going to Baltimore twice. So I get to see some good people that's from B-More and things. I'm gonna get to hang out with my homegirl Janetta, and we have a reservation for dinner, so we're gonna do dinner after the book signing. So it's gonna be a situation. It's gonna be a nice little vibe. So I'm excited. But before I get to, Tuesday, I got some activities going on Monday. First of all, I gotta get this haircut. I gotta get a nice little shape up and, get my fades and everything like that. And then after that, I am going to be on WRD at Malcolm X Park. Malcolm X Park on Monday is doing like a Juneteenth, live broadcast. They're doing a Juneteenth like event on air in person. So a lot of the on air talent, and I am on air talent now. Look at that talent. But I'll be on, just stopping by, talking to people. There'll be other hosts and other folks, and it's a public event. So if you're in Malcolm X Park on a lovely, nice little afternoon, you most likely probably catch and find me. I'll be out there in the earlier half, and then I'm going to another Juneteenth themed event with the African American Chamber of Commerce. They're doing something at Fiddler Club. So I was like, okay, it's free. I'll stop by. You know how I feel about Fiddler Club. But there is a group doing some events, and I want to, connect with some people I know. And then my favorite part, my lawyer is having a barbecue at his lovely house. So Mr. Johnson, I'll be going, and he'll be bringing our world famous, world renowned lavender lemonade, because that's what we always bring to the cookout. That's what we brought Memorial Day. That's what we're bringing Juneteenth. I mean, that's just what we're going to just do. So it's gonna be an action-packed Monday up on the schedule. So if you're listening to this on Monday morning, as you should, my day is going to be filled with excitement. Lots of excitement. So I can't wait. And this week is too, but I want to get more into the week. Do I want to talk about it? Yeah, I'll talk about it now before I get into some other news. So later this week on Friday, you all know that the council dinner is happening at Restaurant Alexander. I dropped that news last week before I dropped this other news that I've been holding on to. But it's been exciting. Everyone's really excited about Friday night. We're having two tastings, one at 5:30 and the other one at 8 o'clock. And it's going to be at Restaurant Alexander, which is in Rittenhouse, where the OV Street is. And a lot of you all have been making your reservations. There's still more reservations have been increased because of the interest, so they're expanding it. So now the whole restaurant we've taken over the entire restaurant. So the whole restaurant will be doing the cancel menu on Friday from 5:30 and then 8 o'clock to 10. So it's 5:30 to 7:30 for the first seating, and the whole restaurant is doing it. So if you come to Restaurant Alexander, you want to make a reservation because we want to guarantee you get seats. But if people do walk-ins, at the last minute, you bring your home girl, you text your friend at the last minute and say, hey, there will most likely be room. But again, you want to hit that time. But the whole restaurant will be open for it. So everyone's doing the menu. I'm proud to say that the menu is officially crafted. Like, we've officially sat down, create the menu, agreed on the flavors and the experience. And, I'm not one to like to give people too many surprises. So if you're listening to this podcast, you will find out what's on the menu right now. And anyone who isn't listening to this episode, you'll have to find out later this week on social media. So it's kind of fun. It's like an exclusive. So I got the menu over the weekend and finalized details. And I'm ready to tell you what's on the menu. It's a 6-course. It's called the canceled menu, of course. The canceled dinner, but this is the canceled menu, but the event's called the canceled dinner. So here it goes. Chapter 1 is apples. Yes, apples, because you know why Adam and Eve, Eve bit the apple. So this is a nice little amuse-bouche. This is the little sampler. Apple crisp, apple butter, cider gel, apple cubes. This is getting the palate ready, but contextually it connects with the theme of, apples. Chapter 2, ugly vegetables. This is a vegan dish that's environmentally smart. I'll talk more about it and how it connects to the book, but I'll read it to you. Ugly tomato gazpacho, misfit melons, shriveled basil, pine nuts. And it's completely vegan. And this is the second course. Here's the third course, Black culture. Country tea brine fried chicken, Aunt Jemima cornbread, Bert's watermelon hot sauce. Chapter 4, South. Smoky Cousins barbecue pork ribs, Savoy beans, savor beans, pickled collard greens, braised turkey necks. Chapter 5, Grape Soda Thrills. I'll leave it at that. And Chapter 6, LGBTQ. Gay wedding cake, Teletubby sorbet, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream. I won't talk into the context behind it. Some of you all, of course, who read the book probably are like, I know what that's about. It's going to be completely fun. Everything on this menu has a backstory around cancel culture and my book in a fun, unique way. Some of you all have read the book will probably already know some of the things I've said and will already be an easy giveaway. But that is the menu, and it's going to be super fun. And there's a cool specialty cocktail that is going to also accompany the dinner, but I'll let you find out when we have the dinner. $75 per person, 5:30 on Friday or 8 o'clock on Friday. People are like, what time should I come? It doesn't matter what time you come. I'll be there both times. And I will be signing copies in person, thanks to the lovely support of Harriet's Bookshop. So Harriet's will be selling books in person, and I'll be taking pictures and signing them with you. So it's going to be a win-win. So come through. It's going to be a good time, and see some of my friends and my folks. So I can't wait. So that's Friday. So the news. I made some major career moves this week. Last week it came out the announcement, and I'm super excited about the enthusiasm that you all have. So I've been sitting on this for like a month, but now I'm proud to announce that I'm going to be the new editor of Eater Philly. Eater Philadelphia is a part of Eater, the country, the around the country is a national food publication, one of the most respected, renowned food publications in the country. Eater is located in various major cities across America, and they have a Philadelphia section, and I'll be the editor of that section. So I will be running the publication in Philadelphia starting July 17th. That'll be my launch day and my training week. But starting in July, I'll be the new editor. I did not take this lightly. I, as you all know, have been passionate about food for quite some time. And, the opportunity just was there. I saw the listing. There were people in the industry who reached out to me, different folks like, you should do this. And I'm just like, I haven't, been the most traditional, formal, food reporter, but I definitely know the food scene. And sometimes in life, you try to, either talk your way out of something, or you kind of follow the traditional rule book of what you think it is. But then sometimes you have to take a step back and say, what does that have to do with if you can do it and if you want to do it? And I leaned more into the latter and said, this is something I'm really passionate about. And this is something I know I could do well. And it came across, I did something I haven't done in like 10 years. Like I actually apply. Like I did an interview. I did the whole, normally when I get most of my media jobs and opportunities, it's just word of mouth. You just be like, hey, he can, Ernest can do it, call him. We have a cute little conversation. I start. But this was a position clearly that had a lot more gravitas and it was more required. And, I did the whole interview and I, processed and, all the things and made it out on top. I'm the only Black food editor in Philadelphia and one of the few in the region. There's not a lot of Black food editors working at major publications in the country. There's some, but not many. And a lot of that, was 5 years ago. I wrote one of my most famous pieces called Dining While Black. It was a long form piece that was published in Philadelphia Magazine, June of 2018, y'all. It was 5 years ago around this time. And many of y'all remember that piece. And I wrote about just the food scene and how racially segregated it was and my experiences going out and eating and dining while Black with my now husband. But just also just the culture. And I will say a lot has changed. And a lot has changed because of that piece, because of the conversations that was had because of that piece, but there's still more to be changed. And so one of the things I talked about was like, look, there were a lot of restaurants that weren't being celebrated, that did not have the exposure. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Chad Williams, masterpiece was finally getting some attention, but wasn't, getting the love it gets now. Now it's a James Beard Award winning restaurant. Now I'm a upcoming food editor of a major food publication. Now there's Black food influencers like Josh Eat Philly and George and Geo's Table and so many other people that are now doing it. And they were doing it then, right? They was doing it then, but now we're still here and we're more prominent. We have, seats at the tables. Now we're running tables. But that was so different, Like we were just hoping to see that kind of change. And so sometimes you see something and you want it to change and you stay loyal to it and you stick with it. And that's just always been my values, the consistency and investment. I think people sometimes want to come in with a bang and then they just go versus, hey, you see something changing. It do take time sometimes. I hate implemental change, the incremental change. I hate that term. But to me, it's more of just being strategic. If you're going against something and you're pushing for change for something, you got to remember that sometimes this stuff has been here for decades, and sometimes you got to wait for certain things to fall off. And the moment it fall off, you run right in it. And so I was just like looking at things move, systems move, institutions collapse, and then you're like, okay, now that this is gone, we need to now start putting people here, 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 here. And that was just really what happened in the past 5 years in the food scene, was that I just never let go. I just stayed and kind of went and said, okay, why is there no Black people here? You don't know any? Let's put some people here. Why are we not covering this? Why are we not doing this? And so that's just had been my role. But then you amplify other people to offer their voice in certain spaces. Because what I noticed when I wrote this piece 5 years ago was that we had no real Black media scene, Black food media scene. PR people were not bringing Black people to events. So we worked with the PR firms to bring more Black people to have a space. By doing that, we had more Black influencers in the room that were promoting restaurants and things and brands that they cared about. Then, as a result, you had more Black writers that had a space of interest to write about some of these things. And then you had more community and social buy-in. And then there were historical things that happened during that time, like the pandemic and the racial uprisings, that then helped amplify the conversation. And then you start to see, the fruits of that labor build into a contingency of interest and support. Then you have to have leaders and people step up to ensure the continuation of that. And so when I saw an opportunity to be the editor of Eater Philly, I said, this is an opportunity for me to, one, have a moment to just delve into something I'm personally passionate about, but also have an opportunity to sustain a lot of the progress that was made in the past 5 years and to take it to another level and to hopefully bring up writers and food writers and journalists so that this is not the first or the last time. So, that's the plan. I mean, essentially, that's part of the plan, right? It's just that it's not just about elevating Black food chefs and restaurants, but it's also really about just telling a more accurate story about the food scene in Philadelphia. I'm not going to throw shade at my contemporaries and now my peers and colleagues, but what I often know to be true is that so often there are so many restaurants, whether they're Black owned, Latino owned, Asian owned, white owned, whatever, that it doesn't tell the complete story of Philadelphia's neighborhoods. It doesn't tell the complete stories of Philadelphia's passions and interests. It just doesn't reflect people's overall understanding. And we got to change that, We have to change that, culture, and just tell the full story. I always tell people that for me, inclusion, diversity, all these ideas, all these phrases and terms in a journalism media space is about really just telling the complete picture. It's not saying that things go away. It just means that you need to make sure you include and as much as possible expand upon the conversation. And that's what I plan to do. I cannot wait. I've been going to just other parts of the city more, traveling, eating different types of foods on my own, just doing my own little low key thing. I mean, of course, I go to a couple of events, of course, every week, but I've just been, just sneaking in and cruising through. I'm a familiar face. Folks be seeing me now. I can't, some parts I can, kind of slide incognito, or as I say, incognito, and go through some little small shops and restaurants and places. But I'll just go on leisure and just try different things and see where my head is at. But it's fun. I'm super 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 excited. I have time to just nice little period. Sometimes people start, they have to jump right into the job, but like I have a nice month to just process and just, plan and slowly but surely begin to adjust and adapt and everything of that nature. So shout out to the lovely people at Eater, which is a part of Vox Media. Vox, y'all. It's a part of the Vox Media brand. Vox has a lot of wonderful publications under their umbrella. Of course, there's Vox, there is Thrillist, there's, of course, the Eater brand, and a couple other great publications under them. So to be a part of this larger national brand is dope. And I always tell people, this is not, I am adding to the pie. I'm not increasing. I'm still editor at large at Philadelphia Magazine. I'm still, of course, writing for publications like the Daily Beast and Rolling Stone and the Griot and all the other places that I do work with, still on air with WRD. It's a part of my, the media empire. So, a lot of people are like, oh my God, does this mean you're leaving? Are you moving? Listen, it's no. If I'm leaving and moving, I'll let you know. I won't even play games like that. But this is what I mean. You can create opportunities for yourself that does not require you to up and go. In some cases, people have to do that. But like I said before, it is when you have talent, when you are very transparent about what you want to do, you're going to make things work and adjust. And if they don't, you choose what you care about. I have personally chosen to build family, community, and my relationships and connections where I'm at. And I believe in the forces that be, that you can be able to have the opportunities you want where you at without having to let go of those things. I feel personally that I'm so well connected with my friends and a lot of great people in my life. I don't want to abandon that to pursue a career. I've never been that person. I don't, people are like, I have to leave to get this job. It's like you're leaving everybody behind. And then you get there and you have to meet new people. Ugh, I don't want any new friends. I don't. Unless they're like someone really, really cool, But I mean, maybe it's my Southern, maybe just who I am is, I don't know, Libra in me, I don't know. But I just really like, if I'm in a good groove and a good environment, I want to continue to cultivate that. I don't really want to have to flip everything around and just go in a completely different direction. Not when it comes to my personal life. I like balance in my personal life. My professional life, as far as like the world and the news and things I cover, that's always unpredictable, right? But something in my life has to have some balance and some grounding. Everything can't just be up in the air. There's got to be something that has some balance. And I've been fortunate enough that my personal life, at least for a while, has been in a balance. Career, the things that I'm covering and doing and things, y'all see it. It's always some craziness and madness. And that's this life. There's going to be some yin and yang. But I like, something has to have the balance. I can't be uprooting and shaking up my personal life and then having a job in journalism where everything's always, on fire. Something has to have balance. And so I've made career decisions that are shaped by how much I value my personal home life, my family life. And that gives me the balance and space. And I really hope, as a millennial and as a young professional, that I can hopefully inspire other people in my group specifically to see that you can be successful and be, having a thriving career without having to always uproot yourself. Because so often, I learned that from my mom. She was very big on that. Like, I mean, she had to do it because she had kids. So, me and my brothers, she couldn't just be like, okay, we're moving every single year because I'm chasing this, I'm chasing that. She made those decisions based on, one, making sure we had stability and, our stepdad and everything. We had to have that stability. You can't just keep changing kids through schools. I'm very grateful that most of my entire education was in the same school district. So I went to school with the same kids up from K2 through, 12th grade. I had the ability to do that. A lot of people don't. They have to change school districts, all the time. They have to change schools, and when you change schools, there's different cultures and relationships. I didn't have to do that. I look back and I say that's what gave me a nice, balance. And so she, a lot of those decisions with her career was shaped by us. For me, I'm making these decisions for my own personal well being and support. So I think that's very important, for sure. Just thoughts, because sometimes people always be ready to put you on a plane before you want to get on a plane. People be looking at you like, oh, you should be in LA, living in LA. Why won't you move to LA? Because LA high as hell, and also I don't want to go to LA like that. I mean, I do enjoy LA. I love going to LA, but I don't want to live in LA and be with all them fake ass people. Like, stop. I don't know. I mean, maybe, who knows? But like, it would have to be something big, and I would need to have the ability to fly around and go. Like, if I don't have the ability if I was to go to LA, let's just say hypothetically, I need to be in a position financially where I should be able to, if I want to go to Philly and not miss a friend's event or something of that nature, I could jump on a jet or a plane or whatever, to get there and be able to do my thing without problems. That's where I want to be. If it can't be anything like that, I'm not just going to just up and leave all my friends and abandon them for some job. And then you get the job and then you lose the job, everything around the job. Nah, that's why you have to be entrepreneurial sometimes, people, because you want to be able to control your schedule. Shout out to people that can control their schedule. And people who can't, love y'all too. So before I get into this other thing, I want to say, everybody's like Father's Day, this, Father's Day. Listen, Father's Day in my life is very much like, it's another day. But one of the things I don't do, I don't shit on people who have a good Father's Day experience. I have great father figures in my life. They know who they are. I'm grateful for it. I always tell people when they get on there doing these diatribes about, oh, my dad is my dad. Listen. Father's Day, if you don't observe, you don't observe. Let these people who have good fathers in their life, it's good if they do. If you have a good relationship with your father, shout them out. I ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Father's Day is like, for me, it's just like, But I don't need to be making a profound bashing or statement about the whole thing for everybody else, because that's not everybody's experience. Like, my best friend, Amanda, she has a really great relationship with her dad. He is incredible. He's a nice guy. Like, I'm happy that she has a good Father's Day. My girl Jess and them, they have good dads. My father's dead. My biological father is dead. My best friend, Jamarcus, he was like, child, our relationships are just different. We just be looking like, but it's not for us. Like, we were not like one of those people. So I just tell people when it comes to days like that, you just let the people, who it is for, it is who it is for. And I never, I don't know. I've never been one of those people that's hung up on that. Like, I see a lot of people that just be doing that whole, Father's Day, this and this and this, that, be telling these stories. I'm like, y'all, let these people, you know what I'm saying? This is not about you. So shout out to the good fathers and people that's doing the damn thing. Who Father's Day is intended to be for. Let that be for them, period. And if that is not your experience, show love there's other ways to celebrate Father's Day for the daddies and zaddies in your life. And you do that. So there's that. Other great news. So early this week, I got elected to be the regional vice president for the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Board of Governors of the Mid-Atlantic chapter. I'm now the regional vice president representing Philadelphia and Eastern PA. Super excited. You all know I've been on the Board of Governors I just wrapped up my first term. I'm getting into my second term, but now I am an officer. So being regional VP, I'm just really about spreading the love and the interest in the academy. We give out the Emmys, we love the Emmys. Regional Emmys, are coming up in October. I'm super excited to be attending. It's going to be in Pennsylvania, Lancaster. I'm saying it right. This year's going to be Lancaster. So I'm super excited about it. It's going to be in PA. It's not too far from Philly. Shout out to the regional Emmys. I got to go last year, but I'm excited about this year. So I'm really excited. And, for people who are in broadcast television, who are doing really great shows and local news and all that stuff, I can't wait to, just, be present and to let you all know what the National Academy of Television Arts and Science is doing, which is a lot. We're really big on scholarships and supporting young people who are trying to get their feet in the door. We just gave out some great scholarship money earlier during the graduations, which we'll be talking about graduations later in the show. But we've been doing a lot of great work, and I'm just happy to be a part of this group. And we're having some really important conversations about DEI and really talking about how we honor various types of creators and journalists in the industry, what these award categories look like, what does entry look like, how do we increase accessibility for people to get Emmys. It's a good conversation and good work that's being done. And I just love the team. I love the group. I love the board. We have new board members from various stations and across the region. It's just a great experience. And as somebody who, is an unconventional, television, talent, this has been eye opening to understand the inner workings of these TV stations and other, major production companies, and it's great. It's great. So I'm excited to be, regional VP and to really just come to the table with more ideas and more things. So shout out to Natus, as we call it. Natus is what the abbreviation is oftentimes, and let's see what happens there. So yeah. Also want to talk about, there was a post I did earlier this week, and people have been wanting to talk to me about this, and I'll dive in. So this week is a combination of various things, but I'm going to talk about the first part because the second part I'm going to talk about later in the show about what happened at Groves High, all of that. But one of the things that has been interesting to me, and it's been something we've talked about on the show, throughout the seasons, but it doesn't change. Early this week, while I was at a private wine tasting event, I was at Panorama, which I love Panorama, by the way. It was a great event. It was Italy, it was wine, it was great food, it was great, just the energy was just on fire. Great people, and they're just talking about some incredible pairings, and it was great. But while I was there, I had the most awkward and uncomfortable greeting that made me pause. So, this event, it's wine tasting, so it's not the most, black and brown diverse setting. It was a predominantly white room, which was what it was. But one of the few black men who was there, who is into wine, he was familiar with me. He walked up to me and he greeted me. And he was with a group of two other white men. I was looking for my plus one, who was my friend, who was black. I'm always going to be with a black plus one most of the time, unless it's Laura. And she knows that. But I'm there, and I'm looking for my plus one because they were already there. And so I'm trying to find them in this room with all these white people. And this guy who recognized me, he says, hey, Ernest. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, And he goes, stay out of trouble, while he's amongst these two white men who I don't know who these men are. They're probably people in the wine industry. I'm like, oh, that's what we doing? In my mind, really? That's what we doing? Stay out of trouble, motherfucker. Listen, let me tell you something. I can't repeat everything that was going on in my head when that was said. That, some of the words that I was said in my head, I won't say on this podcast because, I don't want to, my friends, they know what I'm thinking, what word I was saying in my head. But, it's Juneteenth, so we're not going to say those words on the podcast. But there are times when sometimes I'll be on the podcast recording, I'll be like, but then I'm like, nope, can't say that word. That's the one word I won't say on air. I really have one word I won't say on air. I'll say everything, two words, but really one word I won't say on air. Every other word I'll say. But it's about maybe 2 or 3 words I won't say on air. But So I was just like, really? We doing that? And so I was perplexed and I was infuriated. Part of me was like, I think it was all about reading the room. I always say read the room. I always say just check your surroundings. Think about, it's just all about that. And so for me, it was just, I had a big week this week. I got a major career milestone, a promotion. I'm entering this space in many ways as a new leading voice in the food and drink scene. Now that I'm in this position, I'm young, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm new. In many ways, I'm being reintroduced, and I'm coming into this space, and you're coming at me with a "Hey, Ernest, staying out of trouble." Like, motherfucker, I don't trouble. Like, it was very, it felt paternalistic. It was a slight. I took it that way. And even if it wasn't intentional, maybe they did not intend it, it was unnecessary. And, over the past year, I have gotten better with standing up for myself in public spaces. Like, I always know how to stand up for myself. But I've learned to get better in the moment of that when I taste words that are unsavory or I receive something, I don't hold back from expressing discomfort or interest in that moment. It's taken me a long time to get there. And to be honest, I'm 31, so it's like, is it that long? So I'm not gonna be that hard on myself, because a lot of times I hear stories from people that say, look, they didn't start doing stuff like that until they were 40. They didn't get to the point where they spoke up verbally until they 40. So maybe it's not been that long, but at least for me, because I go to so many events like on a weekly basis, you get to a point where you start to pick up on certain things. And you see it with celebrities on red carpets where they be met with some shade or something weird, and they start to be like, huh. I've gotten to that point where when I receive something that I feel like is just weird or off, I'm not just gonna sit and act like it's normal. I used to do that when I first came into the business. People used to come up and introduce me a certain type of way. And I used to just I would be uncomfortable inside, but I would just kind of, slightly grin or just, act like, oh, okay, yeah. But as over time, I began to realize that acceptance of that disrespect or that shade was becoming the narrative around defining what I was and who I was about my work. And listen, I'm not in the business of trying to control every single framing of how I'm framed. There are going to be people that's just going to naturally say he's controversial. Okay, cool. We get it, right? There's going to be people that's going to always shake it and frame me that way. And to some extent, there's truth there, right? But there's also a level of, it's a time and place for everything. And there's also just a way that it doesn't fit. And it's a lazy, cheap way of like, why is it that Black people, even when in success, their work is criminalized? Everything we do is criminalized. Like, there are other ways to describe people who are thought-provoking as being thought-provoking. There's other ways to describe people's work than saying infamous. There's other ways of defining people doing some great work than it being, controversial. Like the limited vocabulary around Black people's success and impact is disgusting to me. It's interesting because they find 1,000 different ways to describe Elon Musk, right? Some people walk around, call him a genius, brilliant, innovator, iconoclast. They'll do all the different types of words to describe Elon Musk, then call him a racist colonizer, a digital colonizer, a fucking, bigot, a digital bigot, a website tycoon, it's just other ways to describe that man. But they don't think about the basic ways. They find these other ways to define him and shape him, or even, Mark Zuckerberg, right? They don't just be like, oh, this billionaire. Because that's what they are, tech billionaires. But, no. They're more than that. They're given more gravitas and grace and nuance. But they don't do that with a lot of young Black people. I get all the time introduced in these leadership situations as troublemaker. And it's like, oh, that's the easy way, right? Just to call me a troublemaker. That's just my work. Fuck these degrees. Fuck any of these achievements that has been done. Oh, no, just troublemaker. That's just, that's easy, right? That's just easy. Oh, yeah, he's a troublemaker. Yeah, rebel rouser. Oh, I get that too. The cuter bourgeois way of saying troublemaker. Pot stirrer, the blue collar way of describing my work. That's the connotations that I get. And for a while, I just thought, oh, they're talking about me, so it meant something. That, oh, saying this is just like the easy way to just define the work. Oh, I'm the talk of the town. But then as I got older, I began to realize this isn't good. Okay, to be acknowledged amongst these high profile people, power players is fine, but how they describe my work, and then the fact that they would describe it in these settings around other people. And a good friend of mine said something to me, and oh my God, it stuck with me. Michael O'Brien, oh my God, he's so dope. One of my good friends. And we were talking about this. He has these experiences too. And he says that, he said to me, he's like, I have been there more times than I've ever even been comfortable admitting. And he said to me, I said so much and I said it so well. But he said, this is a conversation that needs to be had more and more. And it's true. It's true. I had a friend, another person said, and they said it in one of my posts, they said, what makes the troublemaker label from another Black person, especially insidious in a white space, is the message of, quote, I'm not like him. He's going to give you trouble, not me. At least that's the way it seems to them. Even if it's playful, it's not. It's true. I've noticed that other Black people, and I'm keeping it 100, will oftentimes really create a displacement towards me in those spaces. And we know people like that. And other Black people know. And it happens with women. I know there's other women that do things to other women in spaces around men. We see this in our own inner community type of vibes. Queer people do it amongst queer people in straight cis het dominated spaces. Same with women. There will be, when they see that nasty woman, right? Or they see that troublemaker Black person, or they see that problematic queer, that they will create a certain othering that takes place to make that distance, to let people know they bring the energy to you versus them. And so that's why my girl Kia, who, has the Vanessa Lynn collection, which I'll talk about, she had this evil eye that she gave me. I'm going to keep it on me, on my persons, that she says, when it reflects, when you get the evil eye, the side eye, or some shade, it reverses and pushes that energy back. I don't know if it works, but it's cute. And it was a cute thing she gave me. So I'm going to be walking around holding my evil eye in my bag because my healthy. But yeah, I think there's a lot of that stuff that happens and takes shape. And I have, for the longest, been, quiet about that, just because I'm like, people are going to do what they're going to do regardless. And that's true. People are going to do what they're going to do regardless. But I think I'm at a place where I am going to just make it known, like, when you see me somewhere and this is how you address me, don't be surprised if I look at you like you're stupid. You can say what you want, but you can fuck around and you can find out. And I'm tired of this happening to Black people across the board. Like, if we live in a society where Black people who are trying to be better and do better is still being treated like second-class citizens, like criminals, like all these other things, then what's the point? What do y'all want? What do y'all want from young Black people? Because this is about Black youth. I'm like, you would never address any of your white peers that way. Why do you feel comfortable doing it to other Black people? Why are Black folks not met with the same respect amongst their own peers? Why do we reinforce this internalized anti-Blackness? Why do we reinforce the same stigmas and stereotypes that we are trying to, I assume, collectively fight against? Or is it just that you like to be the only one in the room? You can say that as well. And then we can just do that too. We can just have that conversation, which is the only one conversation, my God, right? I think that there are some people that really like being a special token. And I've met some people that's like that, and you know when you meet those people, because what they do is when they see you walk in, they want to ask you 1,000 questions like, Jock, where you stack? And it's kind of like, well, why am I getting, this level of interrogation? Why am I getting hit with all of these questions about, what I do and who I am, right? Why am I getting all of this buzz? It's not like the best feeling when you're new, but you get it. It's subtle sometimes, and sometimes it's not subtle. Because, people are territorial, especially when they're required to have to do work. So, but yeah, I at the end of the day, I'm never dismayed or discouraged. but I am someone who is reflective. And I think that's the most important thing is that, being reflective is for me the moment. Is while there is great success, there's those moments that you take to process and to, reflect and breathe and think about all the other implications of the experiences that you have. Because if you don't, you can just be going and going and going and going, and eventually you get to that place. So, So I want to talk about this weekend I did, this cool thing I did, and then I have to tell you all something important before I get into hot topics. So I went to some cool Black-owned spots throughout Philadelphia and outside of Philadelphia. Everyone's been saying this chicken Caesar hoagie sandwich that I had at a place called All Day Hoagies. Go on my Instagram, click and swipe through. There's a beautiful picture of me and this lovely woman named Tia. She has a company called Ernestly Collection. If you've been a diehard Ernestly Speaking podcast listener, you know that in the first season, I was always lighting her candles when I was in my old place and just really doing my podcast. Well, I am proud to say I have a Vanessa Lynn Collection candle that is being lit right now. It's called Moonlight. It's one of my favorite scents from her. She's listening probably to the podcast right now as we speak, but she has lovely candles. She finally opened her storefront and, and did her thing. But before I get to her, I'm going to get to this hoagie. So I found about this hoagie from a woman who has been in my life for 10 years. Before she was a state rep, she was my supervisor when I was a communication fellow at City Council. Her name is Donna Bullock, State Rep Donna Bullock, Donna Johnson Bullock. She was always Donna Johnson Bullock, or Donna Bullock, but Donna Johnson, yada yada. So she's married to Otis Bullock, who is also a prolific person in the city. But she posted about this chicken Caesar salad hoagie, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that looked good. I gotta find out. So I went to, it's in Brewery Town, which is in her district. She's a state rep over there in Brewery Town, Mantua, that whole district. And so she took a picture and I decided to go. I went, y'all, in person, okay, All Day Hoagies. I'm going to tell you all what the address is because some of y'all are looking and want to know those hours because they're open on weekdays and Saturdays. They're not open on Sundays. So the place, they have an Instagram page. The Instagram page is All Day Hoagies and Ice Cream. Everything spelled as a long ass handle. All Day Hoagies and Ice Cream is the handle. They are located, where are they located? That's a good question. Their location, I believe, is in Girard. They are in Girard. Yep, they're in Girard. Girard Avenue, that nice strip where all those Black-owned restaurants are, and they're really popular. So I'm gonna put in the location. Yes, the location is at 2809 West Girard Avenue. 2809 West Girard Avenue. All Day Hoagies and also ice cream for ice cream is what some people call it. They have a really great ice cream place. It's an ice cream sweet spot, but they also have these really good hoagies. So the hoagie I'm talking about is the chicken Caesar salad hoagie, which is incredible. Their hours on Mondays from 11 to 7 p.m., but then Tuesdays through Fridays from 11 to 9 p.m., and then Saturdays from 12 to 7 p.m. They don't have any pork products. They don't have any pork. So for people who are halal, who observe no pork, which is a favorite for Philly. Philly people hate pork. I love pork. But they have great ice cream, great pies, everything else. What is hoagie? Let me say why this hoagie is special. Because it embodies a chicken Caesar salad, but in the most unconventional way. So it is let's start with the bread, the bun, I guess, right? So you have this roll, you have this nice roll. I like seeded roll. You can get an original roll, but the seeded roll is where it's at. The seeded roll is toasted. It's got this garlicky bread toasted vibe. I think it represents to me what would be the crouton element to this experience. Then they get the chicken, which is this whole delicious, chunky, fresh grilled chicken that they chop up, and then they marinate it with the Caesar dressing. Oh, and it's a really good, creamy, savory Caesar dressing with this chicken. They then place the romaine lettuce, which that's what goes in the chicken Caesar salad. The romaine lettuce is also in the sandwich. Then they put 2 tomato slices, these really good juicy red tomatoes on the side, and then they top it with the Parmesan cheese, shredded. Y'all, it's so good. First of all, it's a very nice sandwich that they cut in half. And I could eat the whole sandwich in the setting. I ate half the sandwich, and that was enough. So if you got a boo or a friend, honestly, just get one sandwich. Eat half of it. They cut it in half. It's for you and a friend, or you can save it for later. And it holds up well because it's a chicken Caesar salad sandwich. It holds up well, like through time. So like I went out and then ate it like about a couple hours later, but it really does preserve really well. It maintains the flavor and everything. It was incredible. It was an incredible sandwich. It is definitely one of the best hoagies I've had in years. Memorable. My mouth is watering thinking about the sandwich. And I know that I always talk about how Philadelphia always be hyping up pizzas and say hoagies all the time. But this is something special. There's something magical happening at All Day Hoagies. And I am a believer. I was like, I saw that picture and I went. I took a picture and put it on Facebook, and a lot of you all were like, hype. It is worth the hype. It is delicious. It is delicious. And it's very affordable. Like I think it was like $15. It was $15. It was all under $20. It was $15. It's worth it. They don't do any delivery. I would recommend if you want to go pick up, do pick up. But like carry out can be long. Like I went to do carry out, about a 20-minute wait. I would say call in advance, place the order, and then drive, pick up, and do it like that. That's how I would recommend it personally. Call and then pick up in that nature. But love the sandwich. Thought the sandwich was good. They got a bunch of other things on the menu. They look like they do some catering, which is pretty dope. It looks like they do some catering in some other places. Some stuff you could do like cake orders. They make really great cakes, and they have all kind of special orders. They even make these hoagies with the letters spelled. Like you could get your name spelled out as a hoagie, and they will make a hoagie version with the sandwich spelled out with the bread. Like you could get certain sandwiches. They do like caterings of certain sandwiches, certain sandwich platters. I mean, they are really over the top. I am wildly impressed with them. I really like them. I definitely will be coming back. It might be a habit. I think I might find my new mania. You know how I always I tell y'all I have these like crazy obsessions. I feel like this is one of those things where I have like a crazy obsession. Like I'm going to be like going here every other week getting this sandwich. But yes. So then I also went to Elkins Park. And Elkins Park was really cool. It's not in Philly. It's like in Montgomery County. But there is this nice black like shopping area. Like all these black owned like shops and things are all next to each other. And they're selling some incredible dope shit that is like life-changing. And it's, to be clear, this is a type of situation where, it's a week, you have a weekend and you're like, oh, what can I do on a cool Saturday? I get up early, let's say around 11 a.m., 12 o'clock, and I want to spend a couple of hours, somewhere that's out of the city. And I want to just kind of have a good time, right? That's how I was at Elkins Park. So I went to, the area. There is all these cool black-owned shops in this area. They like all next to each other. It's like a little town, little village with cute little stores. So my friend Tia, who has this Vanessa Lynn collection, they sell candles, incense, sage, all that stuff. So I saged my house down this weekend. They sell all these products, very inexpensive. I mean, her candles are like $8, $11. Like she makes them herself. She uses like coconut, soy, and things. I mean, she has some really great candles. So I stocked up, y'all. I bought a bunch of candles, and this is her first storefront. So this is her grand opening was on Saturday. I went and showed love, And she had like all her products. She has all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, her incense are like four for $1. She has like these really great candles that are really, really affordable and really big and nice. Really great scents, all types of scents, light scented, heavy scented. She mixes and does infusions. I mean, her shit is incredible. She's like the best handmade candles in the town. She has sage. She has lots of really good sage products. She has candle waxes. She has stuff, incense. She has stuff for the car. I mean, it's incredible. Her products are incredible. She's also doing at this storefront. She has her own store now, like brick and mortar, got the roof, got the background. She's going to start doing these like wax and sip events where, with at least 10 people, you can do like these natural, cool, make your own candle pours, and she's going to have food and drinks and throw these little parties there. I mean, she's doing all kind of crazy stuff. So I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling her location, her events. It was really pretty. I really stocked up on candles. So if you want to know where she's at in this location where everything's at, I'm going to give you the information. It is 7900 High School Road. So 7900 High School Road, Elkins Park, PA. And that's her store. She's in that area. It's the Vanessa Lynn Collection, VLC. And Vanessa Lynn is named after her mother, who passed away. And, her and her boo is really doing a great job, really promoting the place. Her name is Atia Roberts, and she's a sweetheart. And she owns it. And it's a lovely business, and it's awesome. So, her name is Atia Wise, and her boo is named Khalif Roberts. And they're the owners. And they're making some great candles. So, I'm really happy for Tia. And the location is in a nice area. So what's cool is that right across from her, there is this incredible place called Elkins Nutrition. And I shout them out in my, if you go on my Instagram, you can see a post from Saturday where I shout all these places. Elkins Nutrition is like a health drink spot, and they are making some great stuff. I thought it was just smoothies. They're making like these really dope health drinks. And I tried something, and let me just say, it changed my world in more ways than one. But it was a great drink, and they're making some really great stuff over there. And then there's a place called Food Chasers, and I know a lot of you all probably heard about Food Chasers because they've been blowing up on Instagram. Like, they're like, to me, one of the top Instagrammable food spots right now in the city. But they are not in Philadelphia. They're branched out in Elkins, and so I've been really impressed with everything that's been going on. Just so much. So let me see. Let me put this in. Let me put this in because I'm excited. So Food Chasers is the group that made that Jalen Hurst hoagie. And they have over 114,000 followers. They do not make reservations. No, they say no reservation DMs. So they don't make reservation DMs, but they have a lot. Their food is wild. Like it's extremes. But they have this popular Jalen Hurst hoagie that got a lot of attention. And they make these interesting drinks. Like they got a sangria smash. They make it on a cold brew fashioned. They, are known for their shrimp and grits and their French toast, but they make some other interesting food along the way. It's interesting. Their food is very heavy, big portions. You got to come with an appetite and you got to come with a mood. The food is just wild. So they're very popular, but they close early. They close around, they're twin sisters, I believe. They look like twins, but yeah, they are twins. And they have this really great, and they're like identical twins, which even makes them more interesting. But they are Black owned and they're really popular. And so they close at 2:00 on Saturdays, which I'm like, that's very early. But they're also in the area in that same circle. It's like a whole interesting tribe of all these interesting Black owned restaurants and businesses and things of that nature. So if you are looking for a fun time, Elkins Park is where it's at. That's just, my little plug. I really thought they were that whole yesterday was just so dope. So let me tell you about this before we get into hot topics. So I will say this. This was quite the shocker. Um, I always, I think what's important about health in general is that people talk about getting a second checkup and doctor's checkup, knowing your body, and like how important it is to know your body. Earlier this week, I went, when I came back from New York, when I came back from everything, when I was going to bed, I was noticing like the first, like these 2 nights earlier this week, I was noticing that I was just like, my breathing was off sleeping. Like I was just like, something's just like, I don't feel like, like, oh, my breathing is, I just feel like I just felt like something was off. I go to the doctor and they're like, do you have asthma? I'm like, no, I've never had asthma before. I don't think I have asthma. That's how it was. I was like, I don't have asthma. They're like, okay, well, you seem healthy everywhere else. They weighed me, my height, did the little breathing thing around. It was like, yeah, your breathing's weird, a little weird, but it could just be the environment because, there was the wildfire in the air and things. So you should, that's probably what's causing. We had a lot of people come in the past couple of days with, some type of breathing issues or whatever. So they gave me a breathing inhaler and they put me through a nebulizer. They did the nebulizer, and when they did the nebulizer is, for those who don't know, is like a machine that you breathe in. They put medicine in it or something that helps with your lung breathing and things. And so when they did that, my breathing like increased like heavily. Like it got better. Everything, I felt way better. So I was like, okay, that felt good. I felt normal at that point. But they said, we're going to give you we're going to recommend and prescribe you a breathing inhaler. Shout out to being on my husband's benefits because I don't have to pay for anything, which is great. I guess some city council benefits and health benefits and things come in handy. So I was like, okay, I'm cool. Everything good. Everything great. Let me just go home. So that day, I was doing the air inhaler. And I was like, this ain't, I don't know if I'm using it right, but I'm like, in my mind, I was like, this is not working, or this doesn't feel, I'm not feeling it. Listen, that night, I was coughing like no one's business. It was painful. I was breathing and coughing. I was spitting, and I started feeling like I was spitting blood. And when that happened, I was like, yeah, tomorrow morning, I'm going right back to that office with this air inhaler and throwing it at them and telling them this ain't working. Well, not throwing anything, but like, I just was like, this is off. Cause I knew my body. I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. I was like a breathing inhaler. What the fuck? But I was just like, let me just see. So I scheduled an appointment online that night. Going to bed was hell. It was just, I end up coughing so much and things. I just fell asleep. Woke up in a violent, So I had an appointment. I went again 8 a.m. I come up, they're like, you're back again? Yeah, I'm back again, because this ain't it. So they gave me, another doctor who, I had my doctor, but they brought in another person to do a second look. I said, this is not working. Something else is off. I need an x-ray, I need something. It's okay, we'll do an x-ray. Y'all. I do the x-ray. They have the things. They make me do these different positions. Woo! They found I had pneumonia in the right lung. So the good thing is, before I know this, I guess I should have an emotional, dramatic pause. Pause. Pneumonia in my right lung. Apparently, for several weeks, I had been having walking pneumonia. Didn't even know. Didn't know then, but was walking with pneumonia. Now, before people start, pneumonia, I guess I have, whatever, is not contagious. It's not a virus. It's driven by bacteria. There isn't anything in particular that I did to quote unquote get it. It's not like oh, you ate this and you got this. It's not like that. It just seems to be just a situation where there was some bacteria buildup of some sort, maybe in the air, maybe somewhere, and basically it formulated. But it was in it was in my right lung, and it was there or whatnot. And that was causing, my issues with breathing, other things of that nature. Had I not got a second review, had I just essentially just believed in this fucking inhaler and tried to make it worse, shit would have got worse. Seriously worse. So once that was found, of course the inhaler went out the garbage, went out the window, went in the garbage. It was irrelevant. It didn't help anything. What they did do was prescribe me antibiotics. They prescribed me hormones, different things, all that. The good news is I've been taking my regimen, taking my stuff, got another checkup by the end of the week. It is definitely have significantly improved. The meds are working. I feel 100% better. They brought me an in-home nebulizer temporarily just in this process to improve. My oxygen levels have increased. I am feeling really good. And they, based on check-ins and everything, is basically saying, look, you go through your meds, you take them. I've been taking them like for an entire week. I believe by Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll be completely off the meds, but pretty much a complete 180. Like my sleeping is so much better. I even feel overall better. Like, I mean, I was feeling fine before, but literally those last couple of days, it was getting intense. So I say all that to say, people, go to the doctor. And the thing was, I was always going to the doctor and getting checkups, and I didn't have, I always get checkups. So this wasn't, the thing I will say is that this wasn't something I had in my system that was prolonged. Like all of my other health screenings that I do other things, check-ins and all that. That was fine. Blood, cholesterol, heart pressure, all the other things was fine. And so this was one of those like, okay, this popped up, because life happens. And the good thing is I didn't have COVID. I did a COVID antibody test. I've never had COVID, it appears to be. So it wasn't even stemming from COVID or anything like that. What I think, this is my own theory. I'm not a doctor, but I think, I had walking pneumonia for probably the past couple of weeks or whatever. And I think because of the environmental shit that was going on with these wildfires, I think that triggered it. Because I did go to New York. I was masked, but come on, you know how that go. But whatever the case was, I think that really triggered and spiked it, where it was like my immune system, because the way she described it, she's like, you have a really good immune system. My body was pretty much maintaining this pneumonia that was in my system, because I was walking and, doing everything else. It was manageable. Like I was able to walk around with pneumonia and be fine. What? But my immune system was able to, I guess, handle it to a certain degree. But it was only in my right lung, and it spread all over my body, which was interesting. But if I would have kept ignoring it, it probably would have spread. It would have probably been like a bigger problem. So that was interesting. But I say all that to say, know your body, trust your body, know your body. And when it's, because see, the thing about it is that I'm the type, and I'm not promoting any of these things, but I sometimes had a hood mindset of, look, I'm going to take some ginger ale and go to bed, and if the ginger ale knock out, I'll take care of it, it's good. And that typically is the solid way. Like, I'm not a hypochondriac where I got to go every time my knee hurt, this hurt, I got to go to the doctor every thing. I'm not that person. I'm just not. However, I always feel like if something is out of your control, like let's say you hit your knee or you get a little scab and you put some Neosporin on it and it heals and it's fine. And it's fine and that's it, you probably most likely are okay. I think that when it becomes stuff that you just can't control, like Tylenol can't fix this, Motrin can't fix this, or this is something that you ain't never had or felt before in your life and your body is feeling like something you've never felt, then that is when that's the sign. So when I was coughing that night, after whatever the hell that breathing inhaler did, the way that my body was coughing, the way that I was reacting, my body has never felt anything like that before. I was like, this is some other shit. What is, I felt like an alien. I felt like that, movie, like it was like another body was, I was like, what is going on? I've never felt like this before. And good, surely enough, I went back in and told them doctors, I said, listen, something is off. And I appreciate the second hand. It was a woman. It was a black woman. Just saying. We need more black doctors. Just saying. She was like, you want to do x-ray? I was like, yes. Just saying. I'm just saying. Yes, she was black. The doctor was like, a black physician did my x. She said, we need to do an x-ray. Just saying. Race in medicine. She did that x-ray, y'all. She was like, shout out, girl. Listen, she knew. So I went in and did that x-ray. She gave me the right position, and we had to do it multiple times, but she knew. She like, you don't got asthma. You never had asthma? She was so smart. She was just like, first of all, black, she says, most people who have asthma, they find out earlier. You've been going to the doctor frequently. You talk to different people. You would have known by now of a history of it. I didn't have a history of it. I don't have a medical history of it. Like my brothers, my mom, my parents. No one has, asthma. So I was just kind of like, this would be weird. And she said, well, people, some stuff during COVID, but then they knew my test. I never had COVID. And I still have not had any COVID antibodies. So it was like, you don't have COVID, so there's no underlying anything. So she was like, she just knew. She says, okay, everything points to pneumonia because if he doesn't have asthma, never had a history of breathing problems, it's pneumonia. She's like, I want to rule this out. So we did the test. She came back. She said, yep, it's pneumonia. And the good thing about it was that she was so calm when she shared this. Because at first I was like, I'm going to die. I was scared. I was like, what does this mean? Because I'm typically the one that don't get anything. But she was just like, it's life, it's normal. People get it. But antibiotics and rest and sleep and different things, that helps. So I rested a lot. As much as I talk about doing things this week, I did do a lot of time to just rest and chill. I had a lot of good news going on things. So I was like, this is not the place to post on Facebook and Instagram. But I do want to let my listeners know, listen, we take good care. We believe in science and medicine, and we do what we got to do to stay well. So take good care of yourself, okay? One of the things I bought, because I be doing the most. So I now have a nebulizer, which I'm not, after this whole process, I'm not going to be nebulizing all the time, but I have one. So all my friends who, need to get a little boost in their lungs, I have a nebulizer. No, but I also got an air humidifier, which they were like, I'd be going ham when I get stuff. I'd be like, I'd just be doing the most. But I did get a air humidifier, which I did for the nights before when going to bed to just see if it improves the quality of sleep. But my sleeping has been incredible. I've slept really, really well. I mean, woo. And let me tell you, these antibiotics are no joke, okay? I have definitely lost a couple of pounds. I will say that, because I'm like, ooh. But, it's getting all that bacteria out. I'm feeling well. I'm taking it easy. But, I thought, take care of yourself. Just check in with yourself. Know your body. Know what your body can take. Know what your body can't take. And if something feels weird, go. So I went, and I'm proud of myself. I mean, I always tell people this all the time, and who would have never thought? But, living by example, walking the talk, talking the walk, and, I'm happy I did. Another thing I would say, too, before moving into the hot topics is that I am happy that I did do regular checkups because, you can't be able to qualify or rule things out if you don't. So if you oftentimes go to the doctor, you just go to the doctor once every blue moon or whatever, you can't ever be able to counter something. So I was able to say off the jump, yeah, my blood pressure levels, my cholesterol, all that stuff has been fine. Versus sometimes they'll be like, well, do you know? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But it's nice to have a record, track record to say, hey, my stuff has been consistent here. This is off. So I think that's also allowed me to get the resources and the help I needed faster because the physician already knew my history, my medical history, all my stuff. So they were all like, all this stuff is like, no, this is a normally healthy body. This is just something is odd, something's off, and it was able to detect it faster. So I just will tell people like, just get regular health screenings, 4 times a year. Get one every season, spring, winter, summer, fall, and get your vaccinations, not just your flu shot vaccinations, but also, if you are still out here acting like COVID doesn't exist, it still do. Get that. But one thing I was hearing about was that there is some type of pneumonia vaccine or something. And I might be looking into that now, given this experience, because I will say for the most part, I had pneumonia, but I mean, outside of that horrible night, I hadn't had any of the other, major consequential things. And I'm fortunate for that, knocking on this wooden table. But I want to just be like, maybe I should take some look into that more. But yeah, just check in. Just check in. Just check in more. That's the lesson I'm taking away from all of this. So yes, that's that. So news, all the things going on. Nationally, Biden came to Philadelphia. Biden and Kamala Harris. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris came to Philadelphia. It was for the labor unions and groups. I was initially going to go, but then was like, no, stay your ass in the bed. I had to guide myself throughout this week to just say there's some stuff I was like, yes, and there's some I was like, no. But this is one of the things I was like, Biden and Philly, groundbreaking. I mean, at some point, you just have to just, be like, is everything going to be in Philly? Which I don't mind, but I just felt like, yeah, I'll see him again. I mean, it's the same conversations. It's the union, it's the I-95. Y'all are watching I-95 get built. Governor Shapiro is really big. Josh Shapiro is getting big on fixing I-95. It collapsed last week, as you all know. And it's been quite the moment. Like, everyone's talking about it. And he says it's going to get done in 2 weeks. And I'm impressed with the fact that the governor is just steadfast on improving the roads and things. But what I will say is that what this shows me is that when they give a fuck about something in politics, they will prioritize it and make sure it's on the top of the hour. I wish they could do that with the asbestos in the schools. I wish we could just walk in and say, you know what? We're shuttering down these walls. We're fixing this building up. We're going to take this asbestos out these schools, and we're going to make sure these kids have a nice, feasible, healthy classroom. Like, I wish we could just give that much to our kids. But, like, I digress. It's interesting how, I mean, a road collapse like that, I was like, that's going to take some time, And I would have been fine if they were like, yo, it's going to take about a month or two to fix that bridge. He said 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, okay. It's like a, temporary. I don't think the whole bridge is going to get fixed in. But what that tells me is when they want to do something, they can do it. And the stuff that they don't care about doing, they don't do, or they just take their pretty time. And is it because they have beef, right? Politics? Is it that they're beefing with the teachers union? So they don't want to concede to the teachers union because the teachers union endorses progressive candidates that they don't necessarily want to elect. You just never know what the behind the scenes drama is with these groups and why they don't move. And a lot of times our kids suffer because of that. So that's an observation that I made. People can feel how they want to feel, but I have mixed thoughts. Now, this conversation about Trump, I've been following Trump in the polls. Now, people are saying, does Trump have a poll problem? I've read some observations. New York Times have done stuff. There was an ABC News IPOS survey, and pretty much people were asking about Trump's latest indictment. 61% overall think that the charges against Trump is serious. However, Republicans, only 50% do not think it's serious. 29% of people independents do not think it's serious. 63% of independents do think it's serious. 91% of Democrats think it's serious. 38 do not believe it's serious as Republicans, interesting enough. Now, should Trump be charged with a crime? 48% of Americans believe he should not be. 35% outright said no. Republicans, 16% of Republicans are saying that he should be charged. 67% say he should not be charged. 45% of independents think he should be charged. 33% say no. But 86% of Democrats believe he should be charged, and only 5% say no. So, when you look at this, you will think that it seems that there's strong and continual support for Trump. Because at the end of the day, it looks like Republicans are basically down with him. They are. I mean, they don't think the charges are serious. They don't think he should be charged. They think that the stuff was politically motivated, right? But the real headline here, you would say, is that he has a lot of enduring support with Republicans. Like Trump, they are loyal. And if this continues, it is clear that he's going to be the party's nominee if the feds don't get on their ass and lock his ass up. It don't seem like that's happening, right? That support is true. And it's sad because what that's telling us that this country is politically polarizing. We knew this already, duh. But it means that it seems that folks are more loyal to Trump than they care about national security and anything he could have did with that very sensitive information, which makes you want to question that is that the only thing you can get from this data? And so a lot of pollsters are saying that, a lesson in politics is that you win when the public debate is focused on issues that divide your opponent's supporters than unite yours. That is, for example, when you think about affirmative action, it's a problematic topic for Democrats. And I think the reality is that there are considerably more Republicans who consider the charges serious than Democrats or independents who do not think they're serious, which means that the indictment is dividing Republicans more than divides Democrats. Think about this. There are considerably more Republicans who consider the charges serious than Democrats and independents who do not think they're serious. That's a problem. That means that there is a divide amongst Republicans on this issue than Democrats and independents. So let me explain this. So like affirmative action, right? It's a problematic topic for Democrats, even though most Democrats support the policy, because there are more Democrats who oppose it than Republicans who support it. Okay? That is why, if you think about what happened in that landslide defeat for affirmative action referendum in California, there was a drama there. But this is also the other thing, though, right? The undocumented immigration issue has created political trouble for Democrats as well. Now, when we talk about problematic subjects for Republicans, that includes healthcare access, the minimum wage, same-sex marriage, and really, y'all, abortion bans. These polls that show that Trump's behavior also falls into that category. Republicans think that, and this is analysis from the New York Times, they really was weighing in on this concept I read earlier this week from the New York Times, was that they really believe that Republicans who think Trump should have, been charged with a crime, that outnumbers Democrats who think he should not have been. So that's a split within the party. And Jonathan Bernstein, who's a political scientist, he writes for Bloomberg Opinion. I was reading his take on this. He says that it's not an evenly, but an 80-20 split is a real split. And that's a problem, because what that means is that with an election that is, a year and a half away, prosecutors are really trying to keep Trump accountable for this. It's going to play out into the public and in the courtrooms, and that can convince Americans of the seriousness of the charges, which means it's only going to get worse from here, right? If this is how he's starting, it's going to get close. So I mean, people. What I'm telling you is there's hope. There's hope, people. There's hope. There's another way of looking at it. But what I'm saying is that there's something deeper in the data that people are not, analyzing. That's why shows like Ernestly Speaking matters, because you can look at this stuff and say, okay, everybody support Trump, we good. But if you really look at what's happening, there is a pocket of Republicans that are concerned in a way that is not overwhelmingly like Democrats just outright no. Independents are pretty much clear on where they stand, but within the Republican group, that chunk, there's a chunk of numbers that's showing these margins that show that there is there is a strong consensus of people within the party that's not here for him. And what that could mean is, do these voters convert over to Democratic votes? Do they become independents that are not going to rock with this man to the end? It poses its trouble. It poses its trouble. And you can see that play out in the general election. Translation, this will help Trump in the primary, right? He's primary strong. He is still the front runner, in my opinion, for the Republican primary next spring. I think he is still the front runner to get the Republican nomination for president. However, what I don't believe is that he will be strong enough to beat Biden in November at the trajectory he's going. So we're laying the foundation that I don't know if he has enough crossover appeal. He's not going to pull from Democrats, clearly, but he's definitely going to have a harder fight in moving independents on his side. And I can also see those Republicans who don't support him in the primary, I don't see them falling in line with him. I think they're going to continuously be biting his ass and might switch over to supporting Biden when it's all said and done. So it's going to be an interesting election. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm just putting it out there early. Juneteenth, because we got to talk about it. I wrote this piece for the Daily Beast. The headline is, "Can we admit mainstreaming Juneteenth has been a disaster?" Nearly 2 years after being nationally recognized, the celebration of Black American emancipation has turned into a misguided holiday of performativity. Yeah. Quite the piece, quite the opinion, I know. But it's just true. I mean, I have, on June 17th, 2021, nearly a year after the murder of George Floyd, Biden made Juneteenth an official U.S. holiday. And, it's been 2 years of this. And at the end of the day, we have this conversation, and I'm tired of having the conversation, but conversation needs to be had. I grew up in Houston, okay? Juneteenth is an event that commemorates June 19th, 1865, okay? So we are over 100, over 150 years. Over 150 years of Juneteenth. As the day enslaved Black people in Galveston, Texas learned they were free. More than 2 years after the proclamation was signed, it was a Black holiday in my hometown. I grew up, going down to Galveston Beach, watching a procession of decorated cars, these really cute little cars, and they would be decorated with all types of little bells and whistles and things on it. And there'd be live music, and there was a Jubilee parade that commenced that was just everything. I mean, the barbecue, oh my God. I'm still thinking about that barbecue. There's just nothing that hits that for me. Red soda. My tongue used to be red, like real red. And there was just lots of hot sauce and lots of food, like red food, and so good. And there was red, white, and blue Juneteenth flags. We're going to talk about those colors. This was my 4th of July. Like, this was the Black 4th of July. This is the Black 4th of July in that region and in that experience. And honestly, Juneteenth was about, what it meant to me and what it felt like was just a day to just chill. Let me emphasize that, you East Coasters. I know the legendary Miss Opal Lee wants to, make this national. I get it. Bless her heart. Mother of Juneteenth, yada, yada, yada. Grandmother of Juneteenth, legendary queen. Get it. But let me tell y'all something. The whole point was to relax. It was to chill the fuck out. Juneteenth was meant to be a day to enjoy yourself with Black people. You just eat. You was Black. You just stayed and you chilled and you relaxed. You didn't read books. You didn't do all that extra shit. You just had a good old Black time. That's what it was. It was a day to relax and to be joyful and to be jubilant and to celebrate each other in love and good fucking food and a red, white, and blue flag. And that was what it was. Okay? It was simple, but done well. It was excellently simple. It was simple and it was great and it was glorious and it's fucking phenomenal. That's what it was. Now it has become, oh my God, so whitewashed, so co-opted, highly performative. Y'all done fucking ruined everything. It's become, on the national stage, more than what it was ever intended to be. And I knew it. When I saw Walmart with that, it's the freedom for me shit, the red velvet cheesecake flavored Juneteenth ice cream. Who thought that was a good idea? With a Pan-African decorated carton. And this is where I feel some type of way. Juneteenth has never incorporated African-themed colors. This was not a Hotep holiday. Okay, it was never a power fist, wear unk. That was not the tradition. That's not the vibe. It's not a Pan-African, cross-cultural Caribbean fair. That's not what it was. That's not what it is. It's a very Black American holiday. It was meant to acknowledge Black people living in America that were due freedom. It's a very unique cultural American holiday celebrated by Black Americans. And other people can acknowledge and respect it, but there were specific tradition. Okay? That's just what it was. All this pandering to all these people with these selling this shit, that's just not what it was. And then it gets into I remember last year, the Children's Museum of Indianapolis had to go into full apology mode because they tried to incorporate a watermelon salad as part of the Juneteenth Jubilee, which, watermelon is a part of Juneteenth. People eat watermelon. It's red. It's a part of the thing. But, I guess watermelon salad is offensive. I get it. Then there's a cringy banner that was made in Greensville, South Carolina, which is this nonprofit hosting this Juneteenth event. This happened this year. They had this promotion saying an upstate celebration of freedom, unity, and love. But the flyer had a white couple. Take me out. Juneteenth GVL, the group that did this organization, had to issue an apology on social media. And even worse, you got far right conservative groups doing stuff. Juneteenth organizing in Pittsburgh are now accusing Pennsylvania legislators, in the city government of discriminating because they're trying to put last minute mandates on vendors and security. In Tennessee, their legislators, threatening sponsors such as the Nashville International Airport, trying to get them to divest from backing a local Juneteenth festival, or they're threatening them for public retaliation for supporting quote-unquote radical agendas. This shit has become so much fucking more. And honestly, seriously, there are some things that should just be left alone. Like Juneteenth. Leave it the fuck alone. Leave it alone. On behalf of Houston, Texas and Galveston, Texas, on behalf of the people that live in that area, leave it the fuck alone. Just stop. I've seen, and I have to say this, and I know people in Philly are going to be mad at me, but it's all these Juneteenth events in Philadelphia, and they're attacking. Everybody's selling shit. Everybody's trying to push shit. Everybody's selling the wrong type of shit. The flags don't even exist. I haven't seen a Juneteenth flag around this motherfucker. I'm seeing all these Pan-African flags, and I love all of that, and that's beautiful, but that's not this. And what's crazy is that when we look at the African diaspora, right, you look at other pieces of the diaspora, you look at Haitian and, look at Jamaicans and Korean. They have their carnivals. They have their rituals. And everybody respects those rituals. They respect those customs. You go there, you wear what they wear, you eat what they eat, you respect it. How come with Black Americans, there's always the idea that we can't have our own customs. You can't respect any of the things that are just specifically indigenous to the group and the community. That we have to broaden it. We have to, open it up. We got to let everybody come in. We have to be so inclusive. Sometimes it's okay to gatekeep cultural things in your community. Black people, hear me out. Everything is not supposed to be open to the masses. I have friends that are Jewish. Look, there are Jewish people I'm really good friends with. They have their customs, their culture, and it's fascinating to me. I'm like, wow, you have this tradition, you have this thing that you do, this thing that you acknowledge, and you specifically have customs, and you know what? You can appreciate and respect the history there. Why can't we do that? Everything that is Black always feels like it has to be commodified. I hate that. Like, look, I'm not Jewish. I love Jewish people. I have friends that are Jewish, and they do their thing. I'll be like, there you go on Rosh Hashanah. You better do that. You better eat that food that you eating on Hanukkah. You better, listen, you don't want nothing to be risen. You eating everything flat. That's what's up. You can respect people's culture and let them do their thing. And I'm not like, well, y'all need to eat pizza. Look, I get that y'all have to eat that, matzah. I get it, but like, can we try this? Because I want to fit in. I want to have fun. What about me, the non-Jewish person with my thoughts? I feel excluded. No, that's not for you to do. People gotta understand you can't participate in everything. You can't. Everything is not fucking for you. We got to start telling people that. No, Becky, you can't come to the Juneteenth cookouts. No, Becky, don't come up in here. Listen, Reggie, you can't let her come up in here disrespecting our shit. She is not coming here with this American flag. We use Juneteenth flag. Use that shit. Don't come in here with that red, white, and blue Star Spangled Banner shit. We ain't listening to that. Sometimes you just got to tell people and be okay with that. But no, we always got to make exceptions. And what do we get for all these exemptions? Do anybody ever make it rain on us and give us the things we want? Because then when you go to the Juneteenth event and we start talking about reparations, they'd be like, well, reparations, I don't know too much about that. Oh, okay, so you really not trying to have a freedom conversation on Freedom Day. Oh, you really ain't trying to have a conversation about freedom on Emancipation Day. Oh, okay, that's where it stops for you. Your celebration of Juneteenth stops when we talk about reparations. You ain't really trying to come to the cookout and get it done. Oh, okay. See, that's why I can't. That's why I can't. So if I come to your Juneteenth events, which I'm going to be at some, I told you today on Monday or whatever, and I'm just sitting there looking uncomfortable, well, not uncomfortable, but just looking funny when I see some of these little, flyers and things, just understand that, then I ain't doing it right. My biggest concern is that I fear that Juneteenth is going to become a Cinco de Mayo for Black people. They're going to the corporations are going to turn this shit out like Cinco de Mayo. It's going to have no history, no historical ties. It's just going to be another way to oversell and mass produce, and capitalism is going to reign supreme. I just fear that it's going to turn into a Cinco de Mayo. No one's going to really understand what the fuck it is about. They're not going to respect or acknowledge any of the traditions and customs that were put in place. They're just going to just turn this into some way to oversell, mass produce, and just fuck up everything. That's my fear. And that's why I'm like, the mainstreaming of Juneteenth is a disaster. It's a fucking disaster. And even the Black people that are dumping into ruining it is a disaster. No interest in reading the books. No interest in understanding what this is really about. Just people looking for a day off of work and opportunity to exploit and just fucking commodify Blackness. That's how I feel. As somebody who grew up and enjoyed the wonders of this holiday and what it really meant, I'm just disgusted. That's what my girl Erica Dixon said a lot. I'm disgusted. I'm just disgusted. Shame on you. Shame on Black people who are doing it. Shame on white people who've just fucking ruined it. Just shame on everybody that has just decided to just turn this out. And I don't care about all this. Oh, we got to expand and, it should be for everybody. Fuck y'all. No, it should not be. That's just how I feel. No, it should not be. No, everything is not for sale. Everything ain't for everybody. And, I respect people who have cultural traditions that they just want to acknowledge. There are things in DC that DC do, right? There's stuff that, folks do Puerto Rican days in New York. Let people just have it. Sometimes everything's not meant to be mainstream. Black folks, sometimes, y'all, I love us, but I just wish that we didn't always feel the need to make everything be sought after through white validation. I don't give a fuck if white people don't understand what Juneteenth is. I don't want to educate them on what it is. I don't need them to validate what we've been doing for over 100-something years. Some stuff don't require any of that. And when we can get out the white gaze, Gaze, of it all, we will be so much better. Just saying. Just saying. So Philadelphia progressives are fighting right now. The girls are fighting. The politicians are fighting. I'm gonna keep it 100. I see the inner fighting. There is something going on between Councilmember Isaiah Thomas and Councilmember Jamie Gautier. The streets are talking. Their camps are beefing. I'm just putting it on the table. I'm hearing from sources in city council that, Gautier has really been going hard against Isaiah Thomas, who was her fellow progressive, about his support of the budget. And last week I went in about those business cuts, which is now becoming very controversial. But to be honest, it's popular, right? The business cuts need to happen. I went in. You can listen to episode 23, which was last week's episode, where I talked a lot about the business cuts and why I thought that they were necessary. But Gautier is raging war, and there are some interesting things that I'm hearing. For starters, there was a reparations push out the office. Gautier pushed a legislation on reparations. And, it's been getting some news. It's going to be a task force, which I'm not crazy about because I just feel like with task forces, stuff gets really murky. Now, I know a little bit about this from other, movement spaces and groups about this, the conversation about reparations. There's a divide within the political social justice movement around reparations. Some people, have different thoughts about what reparations look like. And there's really two facets. There's some who want a real monetary type of amount of money to come out. And there are some that want to see reparations, evolve into policy-specific agenda. And there's no wrong. There's no wrong or right answer, right? Do you want a big check, or do you want to see a particular causes and things be addressed that will long-handedly support Black people? I don't know how I feel. Depending on the day. There's some days I'm like, man, can I just get a check? Can my family just get a check? Can we just get a check and move forward? And there are days I'm like, you know what? We need to do some real serious groundswell policy that will change some shit across the board. So I don't know. Every day my thoughts on reparations and how that should be executed does evolve. And I can imagine do for a lot of other Black people. That being said, initially there was interest from Isaiah Thomas's camp, and there was interest from Gautier and Kendra Brooks' camp to really, kind of join forces and work on this. This was weeks and months of conversations in the past. Well, given what's been happening over the past 2 weeks between them, Gautier has been just publicly, bashing him in the press. She has really been critical about, this business cuts and things. And honestly, I just feel like, I think she's mad because she didn't get a lot of money out of her budget proposal. She proposed $72 million for quality of life. They only gave her $5.5 million, the city budget did. I think she's really sour grapes about that, and I understand. And that's why she voted against the bill, the budget. She's the only person on city council voted against the budget. And now I think she's just making shots across the aisle. And Isaiah, who has really been a real ally to her and has really have tried to support her, is getting the brunt of that. And it is a sense of betrayal. And so as a result, Isaiah's not supporting her, from what I've heard from sources. Isaiah's not supporting the reparations bill. He's not signing his name onto it. He's not co-authoring it. And politically, what that is going to signal, because Isaiah is in a very unique position now politically, is that those who may have had interest, maybe the presumptive next mayoral candidate, a mayor of the city, Sherelle Parker, or anybody in her camp, or other people who might have had some interest, they're not going to have as much interest now because, let me just keep it very frank, a lot of people do not like Gautier right now in city council. She's not that popular. And Kendra, people do like Kendra, but Kendra's issue has always been politically is the company that she keeps. So you're cool with Gautier, and you're cool with Helen Gim, but people love Kendra individually. I like Kendra individually. I've grown to understand her and understand her, her thoughts on things. And I do personally find her, I like her. But I think the issue is that she's been struggling to get some real things done because of some of the relationships that she have. And politics is in governing is about relationships. People have to like you. People have to feel like they can work with you to get things done. You just can't be the person with great ideas if you also are the same person that backstabs people, throw people under the bus, and just don't respect the game. So I think there's a lot of issues there. The freshman four is no more, is what I'm trying to say. Is the freshman four is no more. The freshman four was Gautier, Kendra Brooks, Captain Gilmer Richardson, Isaiah Thomas. They're done. They're split. I think you're going to see a divide. I think Kathy and Isaiah are a pair, and Kendra and Gautier are a pair. Now, you got Nina Ma coming in. You got Rue Landau coming in. Is there going to be a new squad that's going to formulate between the progressives? Like, what's going to happen there? I mean, I don't see Nina Ma as a progressive, so I don't think she's going to be playing around with Gautier and Kendra. But I also don't know where Rue's going to stand with this, because I know Rue does have a close relationship with Kathy, and she has a good relationship, a really great relationship with Isaiah. So I don't know where she going to play in it. But it just seems that we're going to see some interesting relationship dynamic switches based on this budget. This budget is going to go through. It's going to pass this week. The plan is the budget will pass this week. And this will actually be the last week of session. So, after this week, y'all, there'll be no city council live until Thursday, September 14th. So I will be on summer break from WRD because summer session will be in. There'll be no city council sessions. So y'all see me back in the fall. But I say all I have to say that we're entering a very interesting era, and it's going to be, let's be clear. Nina Mott and Rue Landau will not be back in September. They don't start officially until, because you're going to have to go through the general election, which they're going to win. So we will not see them until January of 2024. But I'm curious to see if everybody's going to patch things up by November. Because here's the thing, Kendra Brooks is running for re-election. She's a third-party candidate. She's not a Democrat. She's with the Working Families Party, and she has an election. She has a campaign to run between now and November. So all this drama is not necessarily helping her. I don't know how it's going to impact her, but all I will say is that it's going to be some interesting conversations. Now, Kendra last week announced her re-election campaign kickoff. Isaiah Thomas was there. And so was Gautier, Jamie Gautier, who is my city council person. But there's going to be some interesting conversations that's going to have to be had. It's a shame that this has led to the policy being stifled. I mean, they've went forward with this policy. Isaiah was not in session this week, which I think politically was smart because, I think the theatrics of it all would have been interesting, but there's some real feelings. And honestly, if I was Gautier, and not that Gautier is going to take any of my advice or needs my advice, you probably do. I would just, pick my battles. Everything is not worth losing everything for. The budget's going to be what's going to be. Look, I heard in the streets that there was a gathering of sorts of progressives. There's been some progressive conversations and gatherings around people and things and relationships and recovering from the Helen Gim loss. And, my name has come up in them conversations. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it cute. I just think the issue with the Philadelphia progressive movement right now is that they're losing ground because they're actually being insulated. There was a time many years ago when the local progressive movement was interested in hearing different voices, different perspectives, and was open to just saying, look, we want to hear from Black and brown people who come from these marginalized backgrounds, queer people, different voices, to understand what should shape our agenda. And the sad thing is they've become a cult. They've been closed-minded. They are self-righteous. They are arrogant. And they are now in this position where they are just a coat for each other. And they trauma bond over, political losses. They're not invested in saying, you know what? There's a young Black queer journalist that is speaking to a group of people that we are somehow ignoring or not hearing. Do we have to agree on everything? No. But maybe we should take a step back and understand where they're coming from and why they think the way they think. And maybe we can sit down and find common ground. I've never backed away from a conversation with any group. I've talked to Republicans. I've talked to Black Republicans. I've talked to moderates. I talked to the establishment. I talked to Bob Brady. I talked to labor leaders. I talked to everybody. I interviewed Johnny Doc last year. I talked to everybody. And look, you're never going to agree with everybody on everything because that's called life. Don't know what the progressives be smoking because I'm like, where they do that at? No one's going to agree on anything, on everything. But there's a common understanding. And one of the things that makes me, what I loved about being a journalist is that I try my hardest to understand the motivations of a character. And I say this in a screenwriter's way, but this is the best way I can describe it. I don't mean character, I mean people. But let me just say it this way, is that I want to know, my art is, my writing and what I think about is what motivates a person, what is the scene, what is the setting, and how is those factors influencing and driving the motivations of the person. Because if you don't understand that, it's called, context, then you will fail at articulating and informing the public. You can't just understand the person if you don't understand the place. And so I'm studying all of these movements. What is driving this person to do this thing? Why do they think the way they think? It has nothing to fucking do with how I feel, but I'm understanding it. So when I talk about like Gautier, I put it in context. This is a woman who is in a changing, district that's being hit with gentrification. She won her race by a strong progressive backing, but she's also a Black woman in a district that's views on progressive is not meeting the moment to her liking because it's not helping her in the ways that she would like it to. However, she also recognizes that she's in a city council with a lot of other Black politicians who don't share those same views as her, and she's trying to find a way to express her loyalty to her progressive base, but at the same time trying to get shit done that she knows will counter that. It's a struggle for her because her beliefs is not matching her constituents' overall views. She knows that they can, but something is off, and she can't find out what it is. And I personally think the issue is the movement itself. The movement does not actually allow for there to be space. And what I mean by space is that you cannot hold every single candidate within the progressive movement to the same expectations because their neighborhoods are different. Yes, if you are a Black candidate working with small Black businesses, you are going to have to concede to business cuts. You're going to. And if you don't know how to talk to the business community, and I'm talking small Black business owners, about business cuts and wage cuts, if you don't know how to have that conversation, then you're going to appear to be the mean person that's stopping them from having prosperity. And the other issue is that you cannot just simply broaden this with a stroke of a brush and say, oh, well, because we did $32 million, which is less than 1% of the entire budget, that somehow that is money that could have went to quality of life issues. That's intellectually dishonest and disingenuous as fuck. Because you have to then say, well, where in the budget was it guaranteed that 32 million is going to go here that wasn't there? And you can't say that. But the issue is that when you start to get desperate, you start to get lazy. And when you start to get lazy, that's when the shit hits the fan. And so for me, I think that she is struggling right now with being honest that she placed her bets wrong. She put too much energy into supporting a woman like Helen Gim who lost big in her district. So your politics are not aligned with the people that you're trying to advocate for. And that's the progressive movement's problem. Who are you pushing these progressive policies for? If your progressive policies in a majority black and brown city should be appealing to the majority black and brown population, you can't tell them, I know what's good for you people, but you do not have the credibility because your canvassers and your supporters don't look like the people you're trying to help. So y'all look like a bunch of white saviors, and you look like you're tokenizing a couple of these other people to push these other agendas. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. And so these are the problems that we're witnessing on a regular basis. And we got to fix that. We got to fix that. So, bless her heart. Now, the Democratic Party is going through some things right now. They are now, and local Democratic Party, let me be very clear, local Democratic Party are going through some things right now. One of the things that they've been pushing and they've been having some beef with is this conversation around committee people and ward leaders not backing third-party candidates or other candidates outside the Democratic Party. They're clamping down. Now, they did this in 2019. There was some petition cutting and ballot cutting and, during the race where people were sending out petitions to support candidates and they were not supporting the candidates they were supposed to support. It was a lot of drama. The problem is with supporting those policies, as you can imagine, is that when you do stuff like that, the party is like, look, there's a lot of Democrats that are coming out for Kendra and Nicholas O'Rourke who are running for Working Families Party for those Republican seats. Democratic Party is like, nah, you need to be focused on the Democratic thing. People have asked me what I thought about it. To be honest, I just kind of feel as though they're not saying registered Democrats. But if you are a committee person and you are a ward leader, specifically a ward leader, I mean, committee people, but really, if you're a ward leader and a committee person for the Democratic Party, I mean, if you want to be in that role, you got to play by the rules. You got to play by the rules of the party. Like the party, if you're going to be a Democrat, you need to be pushing your energy on Democrats. I don't care if the other party may or may not be a threat to them. It's just like you got to respect the process. Like you represent this party. If you want to push third party candidates, be a part of their committee team or whatever the fuck they got going on. I'm not. I mean, the consequences that you lose your committee seat. I just feel like if you're putting your energy supporting a third party candidate, I just feel like that's energy that could be going to support another candidate. Now, people say, oh, well, the Democratic this, Democratic that. But honestly, if you're going to be a Democrat, be a fucking Democrat. I don't, or you know what? Listen, committee people and ward leaders are the backbone of the Democratic establishment and the Democratic movement. That's a real position and title. You got to be out here making it clear on where you stand. And I think the reason why the party's cracking down on this is because of the fact that during the primary, there were some Democratic ward leaders allegedly, and really committee people that were supporting people who were not that their committee did not endorse. So let's say, or your ward did not endorse. So background in Philly politics, there are wards across the city. There's a lot of wards, and there's like 70 wards, and they have all these wards across the city. And every part of Philadelphia, every Philadelphia lives within a ward. And within the ward, there are committee people who basically go out and help, with voter turnout. They help, get candidates. They help, get people to go out and vote, make sure polling locations are right, make sure people are registered to vote, make sure people are doing what they're doing for the party. So there's Republican wards and there's Democratic wards. Republicans got their own map. Democrats got their own map, right? But we're talking about Democrats right now because most of Philadelphia, 7-1, is a Democrat. So you have these wards, and then you have a ward leader. And the ward leader is the person that works directly with the Democratic Committee leadership, which is the Democratic City Committee is the Democratic Party of Philadelphia. They're the headquarters. They're the people that regulate elections in the city. And then there is the Democratic Pennsylvania State Committee, which runs the state. And then you have the national, the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, right? So that's the tiers. So let's go back to Philly locally. You have a ward leader. The ward leader oversees the committees in their ward. The committee members are part of that ward. So you have the 27th ward, you have the 26th ward, all these wards. Now, there are two types of wards. There are closed wards and open wards. There are only a few open wards. There's not that many open wards compared to closed wards. Open wards mean that they basically, they endorse candidates in a more democratic way. They vote. The ward leader doesn't choose. The committee has sway. The committee basically votes as a collective of people. It's an open situation. Candidates can come in. There's no solid. Closed wards, which is the majority of the wards, the ward leader and their executive team, for the most part, make the decision. It's kind of like internally, they're like, we made our decision who we endorsing. We're going to do what we're going to do. And sometimes, right, you have the Democratic Committee, the top leadership, that will basically make their citywide endorsement. But remember, all wards do not determine what the city committee makes. So if let's say you're endorsed by a Democratic City Committee, you could go into an open ward, and that just because the Democratic City Committee did not endorse, just because the Democratic City Committee endorsed you, you may not get endorsed in an open ward. So I'll give you a good example. In the 27th ward last year, John Fetterman got endorsed. But the Philadelphia Democratic Committee, like the overall city Democratic Party, endorsed Connor Lamb. An open ward said, no, we endorse Fetterman. So open wards can flip. They can change. They can make different endorsements. It's more democratic. People like them. However, the tricky thing about open wards is that sometimes open wards are too open for their own good, meaning that, let's say that the open ward, the 27th ward, for example, another example, the 27th ward endorsed Sherelle Parker. But there were people in that committee people that in that ward that gave out flyers to get people to vote for Helen Gim. That's a violation. It's a violation as a committee person, to violate your group's support. So if the collective agreed we're endorsing Sherelle Parker, they were supposed to put out flyers for Sherelle Parker and support Sherelle. Now, if they didn't want to support and they didn't want to put no flyers, they have to put nothing out. But what you don't do is you don't pass out literature and support an opposing candidate. And so because this has been happening a lot, apparently throughout the last primary, the Democratic Party is really clamping down and saying, if you do this type of behavior, not only within your own party, but you start endorsing third-party candidates, you will lose your committee person position. And that's fair to me. I think that's fair. You don't get to dibble and dabble and play both. You have to pick a position and stay with it. Period. So, that's where I'm at with it. I think we spending too much time trying to let everybody do what they're going to do. And I think that, to be honest, there has to be a real conversation with progressives. Again, progressives need to have an honest conversation and in the movement to say, okay, who do we want to be? Because this whole camouflaging as a Democrat to infiltrate within the Democratic Party to try to bring support for progressives, that shit getting filed. That is getting clocked. People are seeing that. And honestly, there just has to be a better way. Just saying. So you all have asked me about my thoughts about this Girls High situation. Over the week, there has been ongoing news coverage about several instances during the girls' high graduation. This is a school in Philadelphia, popular all-girls school. Some really great alumni have come out of there, like Katherine Grimmer Richardson, Gloria Allred, y'all know her, legendary attorney, and other famous prominent women have come out of girls' high school. A lot of people love that school. A great school for the most part. Graduation, however, has been a tradition where the girls will always wear all white. It's, parents are not allowed to clap or applause. You're supposed to just get up and get your degree silently and sit down. And apparently recently they've had these policies that if your parents make noise and clap for you, you will not get your diploma. And you cannot do any fancy things or any gestures. You get up, you get your diploma, you sit down, and that's just the tradition. Well, there was an incident where several girls, black girls specifically, did a wave, did a little dance, did the gritty. This girl did the gritty little dance and all these little things. And they're innocuous, right? Safe, very sensitive, very quiet. Well, on camera, they were getting their degrees rejected by a principal who's a white woman. And it sparked a lot of controversy. I think the shit is trash. People have been mixed. A lot of older black people, the rules are the rules, the rules are the rules. Can y'all shut the fuck up? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry, I can't find another intellectually stimulating word to just say shut the fuck up. I can't. Sometimes I just go canal. Or carnal. I don't know. I cannot. This is stupid. My whole thing is that just because something is a tradition doesn't mean that it's right. I don't know, slavery, redlining, I don't know, a tradition, gentrification, tradition, making homosexuality a mental disease, tradition. Like, just because something was common or normal or normalized or a policy does not make it just, death penalty. Anyway, legalizing, criminalizing cannabis, there's a lot of things that we have accepted in society, or we did at some point, that we thought was normal. And then we had to say, that's not right. So this is how I felt. That policy is not right. The school district has clapped back and basically said, listen, we do not support people not getting their diplomas, their earned diplomas. And they're going to look into this policy. There are folks that's upset, feeling a certain type of way, this, that, third. Shut up. Let me explain this. When I was class president valedictorian at my high school, at A-Leaf Elsick High School, we was in a huge, Astrodome. Not Astrodome, but a big, huge stadium. It was 1,000 kids in my graduating class. So you do the math. Let's just say they brought at least 3 parents. That's 3,000 people. But people brought 10. I had 20 people for me. It was packed. It was huge. It was a rock star concert. I was on stage the whole time. I was the class president valedictorian. I had to give the valedictorian speech, which included the class president speech. I had to give a 5-minute, was it 5 minutes? About 8-minute speech. And when I got up on stage, it was a concert. It was loud. It was huge. It was epic. We couldn't have our graduation in we had it at a football stadium. It was I was just thinking about it the other day. It just brought me emotions. I'm even emotional thinking about it. It was everything. It's definitely one of my top 10 all-time favorite moments of my entire life. I couldn't imagine what that would have felt like in dead silence. I don't know what that would have looked like, what that would have felt like. I don't know what it would have meant. So when I heard this, I just was like, people do this? I guess. And I feel some type of way because when you think about the past 4 years, these kids came to high school in 2019. Look what the fuck has happened from 2019 to 2023. Gun violence. These kids have lost probably siblings, friends, lovers, people. They have endured the pandemic and the toll on their anxiety, self-esteem, work, confidence. The fact that they was able to go through all of that shit and make it out, I don't understand. I don't understand. To me, it would feel like you would even want to give these kids more love. The kids, the pandemic kids, like anybody that has went to school from 2000, from 20, anybody who graduated from high school in these years, these pandemic years, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how do you have no level of empathy or care in the world for these kids. They literally went through so much, and to just take their diploma is so cruel. And I just think to myself, we would not be having this conversation if it was white kids. We would not be having this conversation if it was white kids. Period. I'm not gonna play this game. If that little girl, that covered girl in a hijabi, was a white girl and that happened to her, we would not be having this conversation. But again, like I said earlier, there is an invested interest in criminalizing young Black people. It just is. It doesn't matter if they're wearing look, everybody want to wear the shiesty, the little ski mask, whatever. Even when they're not doing that, they're going and graduating from high school. They're getting the same level of condemnation and disrespect. Whether they wear a shiesty or graduate, they're still being criminalized. That's what this tells me. That whether a Black kid wears a poo shiesty or whether they graduate at girls' high, they're going to be met with the same level of disdain and disrespect. So y'all don't know what you want to do with Black youth. You don't want them. You're telling them every time they do something, it's not good enough, it's not right, it's not pure. The problem isn't the children. The problem is the adults. The problem is the schools. The problem is the people in authority. And they feel it. And I see it. I see it. I see it. There's an invested interest in breaking these kids down, and it's institutional, and we have to speak up and we have to say something about it. We cannot keep looking at it. So I spoke up about it on my social media, and so many other people did. And we are going to get that policy changed. We are, because no one should be humiliated like that. We have to stop letting this be a thing where we just say the rules are the rules and go to bed. We will not change anything. And so if I can use my platform and other people can to just simply acknowledge how fucked up that is, absolutely. Absolutely. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And the good news is, if there's good news, is that the kids rightfully got their diplomas. They didn't get it on stage with a fucked up situation, but they did get their diplomas in the end. But like, this is just unacceptable. Like, this is ridiculous. Let kids have joy. Like, I don't get it. The kids done died and seen people leave and pandemics, and you mad about a little 15-second, little 10-second moment? Where is the grace? Where is the empathy? We give it to white kids all the time, and rightfully so, right? Oh, this person dealt with mental health. This person is, whatever. We create the excuses. We support them. We whatever, and that's fine, right? People deserve to have that. But it just seems like every time we're dealing with Black and brown kids, it's always some type of, the rules are the rules. We got to stick by the book. We got to And then we are the same people that are like, wow, mental health in the Black community, what's going on? Why are we not, we just show the kids, how do we show up for our kids and show them more love? I wish I could see my face right now. There you go. There you go. And there you go. How are we missing the signs that our kids are dealing with anxiety or low self-esteem or feeling hurt? How can we show up better? Right here. This is it. This is that moment. This is the moment. This is the example. Let this be the fucking example. The kid gets the diploma and happy, and you take their diploma away. And you don't think that's going to have some type of impact on their self-esteem and confidence, you stupid motherfucker. Like, I just really cannot stand that. It really makes me upset. It makes me upset because it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you all are doing in Philadelphia. I don't get y'all. I don't get y'all at all. Because where I'm from, you graduations was like, woo. Proms were like, woo. It was like This was a time. Your baby graduated. You graduated. You finished school. You about to go off to adulthood. You might go to college. You're going somewhere. It was a moment. It was like, yes, because we saw so many people. When I graduated from my high school, I went to public school my entire life. My 4 years, I mean, I bust my ass. Clearly. But I remember so many people. There were people I lost in high school, people that dropped out, people that, I think we had a 70% graduation rate in my high school. 30% of my people I went to high school with dropped out. Okay? They dropped out. There were people who were pregnant. We was happy. The girl who had the babies, they finished high school, got their degree in spite of everything. These were triumphs. Like graduations were like inspirational for so many reasons. Reasons that people don't even understand. Like it wasn't even like, you're going to college, you got the scholarship. It was sometimes like, wow, this person, had this adversity. They were pregnant like in their sophomore year and they still made it out, right? On time. There were people who just passed away, people who lost their parents or things like that. And they just went off and, just made it happen in spite of that, You just heard those stories and you just, that was inspiring and you couldn't help but clap. You just couldn't help. And so when I hear this, I'm just like, are y'all stupid? Where are you from? What formality makes you just feel so, just like, oh, you can't do this because of this. It's just like, what world do we live in? Have you lived around the world? Oh, I don't care if it's a tradition. You say, you know what? Because we're unprecedented times, we're going to shake it up this year. Look, if your kid is there, clap, but be respectful, be a little mindful, but we it's okay to clap. What the fuck? Just saying. So I'm going to talk about this briefly. There is a viral musician, female rapper, named Sukihana. There's been a lot of talk in the news about this viral video of this rapper who went up while she was sitting on a panel and tried to tongue kiss her down in the middle of her, co-emceeing an event. And the men were watching and not saying anything, and she was highly uncomfortable, and she spoke on being uncomfortable, and it was a whole thing. Well, people have been debating on the internet, oh, well, is she being too dramatic? Well, her music is sexually explicit, and, she always talks about sex, whatever. Well, the guy in question who did it, the rapper, he apologized publicly. She's accepted his apology to move forward. But before then, she expressed that, she felt hurt by the whole situation. And I'm going to be brief, but I'm going to say it like this. Just for anybody listening to this listen to this podcast. Listen, a person can be as individually and personally sexual as they want to be, but that will never warrant anyone else from feeling comfortable violating their space and their body. That's my take on it. People's like, what are your thoughts? I don't know what other thought I can give other than you keep your fucking hands to yourself and you mind your fucking business. And I don't care how freaky a person is, because what they're doing for them has nothing to do with you. So if she comes out and she want to touch her titties and her ass and dresses provocative for herself or what she want to do, it's never an invitation for you to feel like you can just go up and do what you want to do without permission. So that's the take. I don't know why people think that highly sexual performers or people or artists somehow that gives them the warrant to do what they gonna do. It doesn't. It never do. This speaks to rape culture. Rape culture in the sense that there's always this mentality of you go somewhere and someone does this, so this means to this. It's never going to be a justifiable excuse to put your hands on anyone or do anything without anyone's consent or permission. I mean, look, when you're young, you don't know what it is, you learn. But when you a grown-ass adult and you out here in this world, the fuck? Like, we don't do that. You just don't. Don't care what is going on. I don't know why people think it is. I mean, if you want to ask, you can ask. And the person can tell you no, and you can ask and someone can say, sure. But at the end of the day, consent has to be in the conversation. And I think there's too many people out here who just getting too comfortable. I think about when I used to go to the club and parties. I used to dance and, do my little thing. And, somebody like to slide in, slide and be like, kind of come over. And it's like, you could do the little hand, like, you don't like it. Like, you do that hand, like, pause, back up, okay? And you back up. Or, you feeling the vibe, you liking them, you like, well, don't mind if I do. It's a vibe. But you gotta read the vibe and read the room and read the signs. And if it don't happen for you, it don't happen for you. And I know sometimes I used to see dudes be like, well, she let him do it. Yes, because he is he and he's not you and you are not him. Okay? And get the fuck over it. People get mad. People just think that the world is just supposed to be their oyster. No, it don't work like that. Women, men, are not your oysters. Just to think, oh, if I see that, I could get that because I want that. I'm just gonna fuck all the violations. It's calling me. It's what I want. It's how I feel. Okay, you try that all you want to and find out how that works for you in this world. So, I think for me, I don't really care about Sukiyana being a sexual artist. Like when people talk about Lil Kim back in and stuff. Listen, people can do all of that, and that still does not give you permission. It doesn't. It doesn't. Right? And if you want to look at it at home and get familiar with yourself at home, you can. Because if they're authorizing their sexual prowess and their, whatever to be marketable and sold for the consent of visual, then you can basically visualize and stimulate yourself in the privacy of your own bedroom. But to feel as though you're entitled to do anything directly to anybody, that crosses a line. So that's my take. I don't really know what is nuanced about it. People be like, oh, well, I have a nuanced perspective. Could it be because of this? Maybe she didn't do that. No, we're not victim blaming. We're not slut shaming. It's none of that is relevant. It's not. It's just not. Period. So I want to talk about soft life. I hate this term, y'all. I'm sorry. It came out about a year ago, and then it kind of died down. Now people are bringing it back up, and I just think it's stupid. Sorry. Don't have anything nice to say about it. So this whole idea about soft life is, a life where, time where you're not so hard. You're not, you're in your era where you're not arguing and, you're using, you're living life, you're traveling, and you're just, taking it easy. And, it's basically the mindset is soft life refers to a lifestyle of comfort and relaxation with minimal challenges or stress. Soft life is in many ways a secret to success, some people are saying. This idea that some people are using this term to reference a life that involves luxury and wealth, while other people are simply being, it says, a simplified life, unburdened from stress and responsibilities. Their goal is to live a soft life. They quit their 9-to-5 job so I could leave the stress behind and just live the soft life. Oh, yes. So soft. Listen, y'all, that's the dumbest shit ever. Listen. I get it. There's this mindset that the world, I get it, is just full with stresses and difficulties and frustrations. The thing is that the problem with soft life is that it's trying to basically commodify and commercialize self-care. And the stress that comes behind trying to monetize and commodify self-care is that it creates a various elitism and classism structure. It reinforces class dynamics that are oftentimes harmful to the people who need the quote-unquote soft life the most. So who can afford soft life? Who gets to regulate what soft life, how it operates? And anytime people lean into what is luxury, then it immediately it speaks to elitism, and it speaks to classism, and it speaks to this level of, oh, I want to just be a rich bitch. Listen, to me, soft life is saying, I want to live the life of a real housewife. I want to live a life that is just basically, I want to be rich. Because rich is really soft life for some people, for many people. They just want to be pampered And they think that that's the ideal goals. It's like, oh, that's soft life. And so really what we're saying is, oh, I want to abandon my the obligations and just relax. But what we're saying is, I want to be rich, pampered, and unproductive. There is a, and we think that that is a means to self-care. We also think that's a means to relieving stress, but we don't actually unpack what's causing the stress and understanding that how do we release stress without feeling the burden of capitalism and spending, excessive spending, or what I call retail therapy, because a lot of this speaks to that. So I've been following and reading all these trends of a lot of people that are talking about this soft life shit on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And the pattern for me, and I've noticed, is that it's all connected to high class experiences, splurging, ridiculous spending, all of the things. And I'm like, does that mean I've been living a partially soft life in my life? I don't know, maybe. I just think, to me, it's just a bad trend. And I think we should just stop trying to make, we need to stop trying to rebrand elitism. I just, look, you like nice shit, go live your fucking best life, but stop trying to find a way to justify this, right? And I think we're in a society, in America specifically, especially during recession. Anytime we're in this like recession culture, and you see these patterns throughout life. Like I'm telling you, y'all, my inner sociology love is coming out. If you look at the sociology around recession culture, there is oftentimes a rebranding around wealth for those who have class anxiety. Listen, if I was a nerd right now, I would write a whole thesis. Somebody who got that thesis. But that's the truth. It is this common thing that during a recession time, there is high class anxiety, which makes sense. But what comes with class anxiety are two things. It is the hyperness of people over examifying broke. I'm broke. I don't have money. And then a lot of these people are not really broke. You know, as somebody who grew up working class, one of my pet peeves, and some of my friends know this, I hate when people say they're broke. And I know that is weird. Let me explain. I am always frustrated when I hear highly educated people say they're broke. That's what I mean. I'm not talking about working class people. I know where broke people are. Okay. I live in Philadelphia. There are broke people in Philadelphia, and there's no shame because this economy is so fucked up. But there are highly educated people I know that often say they're broke. And as somebody who grew up working class and understand what broke means, I look at them and I say, please shut the fuck up. And I don't say this to them, but in my mind, there are times where I hear a lot of highly educated people that say they're broke. We have to, in a recession era, the language around the word broke, the concepts around people who don't have money, these things have these weird identities and thoughts. And I have never had a chance to really fully flesh out, articulate this on this podcast, so bear with me. We have to be honest and understand what these words mean. So broke in the real sense, okay, means you don't have any money and you don't have any access to money. That if you don't have it, there's no other way to get it. You can't call mommy. You can't call daddy. For some people have both. You can't call your aunt. You can't call your boyfriend, your husband. You don't have a cousin. You don't have a friend who has some proximity to money. You have no access to resources. Your rent will fall. Your lights will go off. You will completely collapse. That's what it means to be broke. Anything else is, I gotta chill. I gotta budget. I ain't got it like that, right? Those are other ways and terminologies. But when you say broke to a person who grew up working class, broke connotates that you are completely wiped the fuck out. You have no access to capital, to resources. And so when I grew up in college, in the Ivy League environment, I cannot tell you how triggering it was to hear people from dual family incomes and households that will run around and always complain about finances and say, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Because you can't buy, you can't go on this expensive trip. You can't, go buy this purse. You can't buy these pairs of shoes. You can't go to this football game. I remember a roommate of mine who has two parents household. This is not Abel. Okay, so let me just say that my Abel and I we were broke, but no, this is not Abel. This is another guy who I don't know what he's doing in his life now. But he one time was in a room. It was me and my friend, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm broke right now." And we were just like, I was like, bro, I was like, this motherfucker ain't broke. He was like, he was broke, and I was like, why? Why you broke? Why you saying that? Oh man, I want to go to this concert, but I gotta get general admission. I can't get the front row tickets I want because I'm too broke. What I'm saying is that in a class structure, the social structure of what broke means different things to people of different class structures. I'm like, here we are at the University of Pennsylvania. We all got dorm rooms. I'm on financial aid, and I hustled, and I never called myself broke when I was in college because I understood that I had some access to capital. I mean, not a lot of capital, but I had money. I never, even if people knew my background when I was younger, I never said I was broke because I understood what that meant in my hood and what that meant in my social strata. That when you said you was broke, you knew, right? But at Penn and growing up since my adulthood, I've seen a lot of educated, highly educated people use this term. And I'm like, y'all don't really understand what that means. And during the recession era, it has really, class anxiety have people saying these terms because they don't really want to acknowledge how well connected they are. They don't really want to acknowledge how fortunate they are. And they don't really want to acknowledge how resourceful they really are. And I think part of it comes with, if you lived in an upbringing where you went to private school your entire life, you lived in an upbringing where your parents had multiple bedroom houses, if you lived in a room where your parents had all these things, and let's just say they downsize, then to you think a downsize means a downgrade. It means that it goes from being wealthy and rich to being poor. And it's never that. Upper middle class life, that's not the reality, right? But that is how people talked about money. And so what we're seeing in every recession, I saw this, with the Obamas, and we look at what happened, when that stock market crashed a couple years, about a decade ago. You look at where we are now. Well, that's 15 years ago. Oh my God, 15 years ago. We're looking at a potential, recession now. You're seeing that those who are in the upper middle class, those who come from money, those who have access to money and capital, they're starting to reshape how they live their life in this recession. Because there's shame. They have shame around class. There's class anxiety. Oh my goodness. In a recession, I'm still out here wearing Gucci. I'm still out here going to Beyonce concerts in Telfar. I'm still doing VIP. Oh my goodness. How do I make this not look like what it is? I get it. I don't play the game. I know I'm privileged right now. I know that I am living the life, and it is what it is. And I'm not going to fake it. But what I do hear other people do, is they try to create a justification. Well, I worked hard, prosperity gospel. I worked hard, I deserve these things, and, but I didn't get VIP. I wasn't in Club Renaissance. I just got a couple. Everybody's trying to create a softer way, quote unquote, of trying to avoid the reality of their lifestyle in the midst of this recession. And this has been happening. You could go through the history of recessions in America and financial collapse, and you will see the bourgeoisie class, the wealthy class, the upper middle class, all these various classes, right, that are not poor, right, try to find ways to reframe and reshape their lifestyle to try not to make themselves the eat the rich crowd. And granted, I know there are extremes, right? There's the 1% people, and then there's the people that's like, okay, look, I ain't got six figures, I ain't this, that, and the third, and that's fine too. But the problem is that in this fucked up economy, it's just that there's so much wide financial disparity that, if you're living a certain way in a community or a space that isn't, it just hits different. I mean, people really sometimes do that with me. They think they overestimate how much they think I have and worth because of just how bad the financial situation is. So in people's minds, people got to be multimillionaires. Like everything is on an extreme. Like either you are dirt in poverty, or you are completely a super millionaire. But in reality, there is a middle, and I think the problem is that I need people who's in that middle to stop acting like they're at the fucking bottom, because that's just intellectually dishonest, and it's also just fucked up. So when I hear this soft life language, a lot of people are trying to, who've lived a certain life a certain way, want to live a certain life a certain way. They're trying to rebrand this as some type of self-care relief, when honestly, it's just another manifestation of privilege. It's a privilege to live a soft life. It's a privilege to live those type of things. And quite frankly, like I said before, there are many people in the world who cannot opt into a soft life. You just can't wake up and go, okay, corporate job over, I'm going to pursue this life. It doesn't work that way. So, food for thought. Movies, I watched Black Mirror. I overall found it to be a dud. I wasn't crazy about it. I think when Black Mirror first came out many years ago, it was very eye-opening and fun, and really the original seasons. The last season, was it 3 or whatever? I wasn't really here for it that much. But I think that it's just one of those, it used to be really, really scary and interesting. This season just seems like it's not as innovative. I think part of it is that I wish that they would have stayed with the trend of rip from the headlines kind of thing, where it was relevant because it would have been more creative and fun and spicy. I think they just went a softer route. It was less scary. It was more, I don't know what it was given, but it just seems like the world itself is more scarier and more Dark Mirror-like than the actual show. I loved the second episode, Joan is Awful. I found that to be the funniest, the most interesting episode. I don't want to get into it too much, but I just think the whole concept was just like really, really cool. And I thought that was more common with the conversations around terms and conditions, your identity and likeliness being used for things. I thought all of that tapped into that cultural zeitgeist around identity and who gets to do what. Streaming platforms, the whole Streamberry thing is fascinating. I thought that was the most interesting show. Plus, just the shock and awe of it, what really? Ooh, shit! The cringy, all of that. It had all of the elements that I loved of the previous seasons. The other shows, all right, they're okay. It was some cute little, celebrity cameos and appearances, but everything was like, all right. It was like, okay, The first episode was, big. So I really loved the second episode. The second episode was the one for me. Joan is Awful. So if you want to watch Black Mirror, you don't have to watch all the episodes. They're not like they're like an anthology. They're not like a series that go on the same storyline. Each episode is unique. So you don't have to watch all of them. You just pick one and say, okay, I just want to watch this for an hour and see what it's given. That's what I'm doing with some of the old episodes. I just want to go back and watch some of the old stuff that was really, really good and kind of pick and choose the best episodes I should watch. But that one was really good. As far as music go, I've been chilling. Music has been very... I'm like, where's the summer music? I mean, there has been some summer music, but okay, y'all, what is the song of the summer? Like, where we at? Because it's definitely not going to be that white boy that y'all keep trying to push this at the N-word. I'm not here for Morgan Wallen, but he keeps staying number one on the Billboard 200. Y'all love that N-word singing country singer. I'm not crazy about him. Y'all love his song Last Night. I mean, Miley Cyrus Flowers continues to do well. But y'all really love these racist ass singers. Just saying. But I really, I haven't really been listening to anything. I mean, I've been obsessed with, the Cardi B, Lotto's song "Put on the Floor" remix. I just love that. But music has just been chill. This has been a very chill. Houston, R.I.P. rapper, Houston rapper Big Pokey, from those who Houston observe. Houston rapper Big Pokey passed away this weekend at 48 years old after collapsing on stage. For people who knows who he is, he was big with the song "Sitting Sideways," "Boys in the Days," "The Hardest Pit in the Litter." Okay, big deal in H-Town. So sad. His real name is Milton Paul. He collapsed while performing at a bar on Saturday night. The cause of his death is pending. The family's waiting for an autopsy. I just, it's really sad. I know people who knew him, and he is a H-Town legend, chop and screw rapper, just a legendary rapper. It's sad. A lot of great Houston rappers in past years have passed away, Pimp C, others. Yeah. 48 is very young. As far as TV goes, Bad Boys. I've been watching Bad Boys. I have. Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Y'all been watching it with me. I know y'all been watching it. Shout out to y'all for watching. People have been messaging me like, I watched this. I've been watching the show, Ernest, and tell me what you think about the characters. I'm really feeling it. This episode was really good. They did a Pride Month theme. My good friend Preston Mitchum was, on. He's on. And he's been, shout out to him for just doing his thing. He's really adapting to this new reality TV world. And it's fascinating because I've never really known anyone like really close that was like on a mainstream reality show and seen their whole life like unfold. Like Preston is like a lawyer. He does work with civil rights. He's openly queer. He does a lot of great work. And he, went on this show and he's in a supporting role on this show. And, I've always been fascinated, like, what would it be like to be on a reality show? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. After seeing this stuff he's been going through, it's been like he's got lots of visibility. A lot of people, he's become this, household name and, within the Bravo fan base in the universe, which is great. But he's also just dealing with like folks just being stupid and just plain old mean. And so it's been interesting to watch, him navigate it. And it just makes me think to myself down the road, like, do I want to be on a reality show? I don't know. People always be like, you should. Let me tell y'all a little secret. I have been invited to be on some reality shows in the past couple years. I want to say since 2016, I've been invited or asked to be on at least 4 reality shows. I am not going to tell you all what they currently are because I did sign an NDA and did get a little check. Maybe I may have considered doing a pilot with some of the shows. But honestly, it was just never a good fit for me, for what I was trying to do, my brand, just what I was trying to do at the time. They were not, and this was earlier, and also what they were trying to do. Because you already know what it was. They were trying to make me the hood gay person, the aggressive, loud person. And I was like, I'm not playing that. I don't play characters. I'm myself. I also wasn't feeling some of these castmates and people that they wanted to put me in the room with. I'm like, it's a no for me because that person's problematic, and no, and just never was the right time. Let me just say that. So yeah, I know what that world is like, and it's also with documentaries. Like I think I talked about Meek Mill documentary. Ooh, child, ooh, look at me like dropping names. But all I'm gonna say is that I'm very impressed with how Preston was able to do that show and control and maintain his actual self, because they really do want you to be doing some things. And they even set up scenarios to get you in a confrontation in a situation. So I didn't see that with my own eyes. So I'm just going to leave it there. But I mean, it's what they're doing on, Summer House Martha's Vineyard is very unique, because too often, I mean, there's some drama on the show, but I do feel like it's very authentic and organic 90% of the time. There are some people on the show that I look at, I'm like, you're playing it up for the cameras. But most of them I feel like are really, trying to be their best selves. So shout out to them. Love and Hip Hop is back. Oh my goodness, Love and Hip Hop is back. Words can't describe my excitement. Atlanta is Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. It's on Tuesdays. MTV, is now Tuesday Takeover. Love it. Love the first episode. Really love the show. I will say this, and I mean, they've been on the air for over 10 years. What is interesting about reality shows is that when you watch the show evolve, the people evolve. And there are people that you grow to like, and there's people that you grow to dislike. And I will say, without getting too much into the show, because I want to see it play out more, but I'm really sad. When I first watched Love and Hip Hop the first season in college with my good Judy, Amanda, and Jess, I used to like Lil Scrappy. I found him, a guy that you know, I could see his investment trying to be a good man. This season so far, he is a jerk. I feel like he is a jerk. I feel like he's devolving. And, Bambi, oh my goodness, they're like divorcing and everything. And I'm just like, we remember Bambi the first season. Anybody who remember the first season, she was in that hot tub with Kirk Frost and, Benzino and Bobby Valentino. And they just skipped that little part. But now look at her. She's a wife or about to be a divorcee. And it's just been interesting seeing that relationship just crumble before my very eyes. And then meanwhile, you got Rashida and Kirk that just done went through everything on that damn show. I mean, from the cheating to now he got a baby mama. He had a baby and a marriage. I mean, it's been an interesting, they're like the bread and butter of the show. But it's been interesting just following this. And they got new people on this season. Erica Banks, this girl named Jessica White, I think her name is. She's like a model that had a baby, was pregnant by Nick Cannon, but had a miscarriage, and Nick Cannon had babies over her, outside the relationship. I'm following that storyline. Then Safari and Erica Mena, I'm over them. I'm just like, y'all never should have been together. Like, that was, when you get with people based on stunts, then the stunts will backfire. They just should have never been together. Like, I don't know what Erica was thinking. I mean, Erica had several like weird relationships. Like Bow Wow was a joke. And then, Rich Dollars and her on and off. And then she dated that girl Santana, who ends up dating Joe Budden. And now they're not together because Joe Budden is such an asshole. Like, I just, the love triangles is crazy. But Yandy is back, which I don't even know why she's back on Atlanta. I don't know why Yandy's on reality TV anymore. Just go live your best life, girl. But she's on there. She's all, I guess you got to secure a bag. But I'm just not impressed with her. But I don't know. Spice is back, but Spice had a coma incident trying to get, I think, a BBL or something. And now she's in pain. And, this whole BBL thing, I think we're going to see a movement where people are going to stop doing, I think there's going to be some major, there was a situation where Jackie O, who is dated DC Young Fly, this rapper, they were married. She passed away trying to get a surgery. And, that stuff is, it takes only one or two of them type of cases where people are dying behind the knife, trying to do all this stuff to their bodies. They're dying. Shit is scary. And so it's one of the moments where it's just like, Spice got into a coma behind trying to do some stuff. Like, is it really, I don't know. I just want people to take better care of themselves. So. And then lastly, before I wrap up, before I get into my other stuff, The Idol on Max, and I'm trying to just say Max because, I'm trying, look, I'm National Academy of Television Arts Science. I'm trying to call the stations and channels their proper names. Formerly known as HBO Max, but Max. This show, The Idol with The Weeknd and Lily Depp, I don't know who the hell is that. This show is trash. It's horrible. And I'm not saying it's horrible in contextually, it's a horrible show. It's a horrible show. And it's not horrible in the sense of like, oh, the topic. The acting is bad. The sex scenes are bad. The whole concept is just not good. Sam Levinston, who put on Euphoria, who's just so fucking annoying as a creator, it's just not good. And that they spent some good money to really try to make this show hot, but it's not. And I tried to watch and I tried to listen to some of you all, and I'm here to tell you all, it's a no for me, dog. Just saying. And then wrapping up, this week is going to be fun. Book launch, book tour, second leg. The tour kicks off this week in a big way. There's going to be so many great surprise news popping up. More news from me. You know, I try to, I'm on a wave. It's a vibe. Got a lot of good stuff going on this week, that I'm hype about personally. Super excited about Detroit. Not Detroit, I'm sorry. Super excited about Baltimore, the restaurant, Alexander tasting on Friday. Got some other cool stuff happening throughout the week that I'm going to be popping up too. And then Mr. Johnson has some vacation days that he needs to take off. Cause I was like in his ass the other day. I was like, listen, you have vacation days, paid time off. Use it. PTO. Use your paid time off. Look, as somebody who doesn't work a 9 to 5, I'm telling y'all, people with jobs, take your PTO. Okay, or you lose it sometimes, or just take this shit. Take a day off just cause. He's very big on. He's like, if I take a day off, what am I gonna take it off for? Sometimes, to just do nothing, so you don't be overwhelmed. Use your PTO, for real. Period. But but other than that, have a great Juneteenth. Get good health screenings. Let Black people have joy. Young youth, leave the kids alone. Let them have a good time. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.